Hello everybody, this is Vinton, aka BitB, and welcome out to another BitB stream. Thanks for coming out, it is Saturday, and finally we're diving into Apollo Justice. Woo! Alright, now it's been some time, I decided to back off from doing any Phoenix Wright-like stuff until Apollo Justice came out, because conveniently there is a new version that was released in 3D for the 3DS. Now I'm not going to be doing the 3D stuff, obviously, because 3D sucks, but hey, I figured the timing was just right, you know, give a little bit of extra space, do a little bit of a retrospective on the first game, and then dive directly into the fourth installment. And hey, I am excited. Whew. Anywho's, I should note just now, I've seen very little about anything related to Apollo Justice, including most of the cases. Just actually, you know what? Pretty much all the cases. I don't know much of anything aside from this is a brand new person that we're focusing on, who is, you know, Apollo Justice. Some new side characters along with it. I think we're going to see some old favorites come back. I don't really know. I've been trying to just avert thine eyes when it comes to any screenshots or anything to that degree. So let us just go ahead. I don't know who's going to come back, who is going to spontaneously come into the fray, but we will definitely see. So let's just dive on to the 3DS screen. Give me a quick second while I adjust that. There we go. And I have sized things up to make sure that it's like everything fits and everything works. So let us go. The first boot up. Also, I apologize, I'm a little bit sniffly and I don't know why. Alright, now the first thing is that I'm a little bit sad there is no menu music for this game. Like, that actually seriously does sort of bum me out, because in the compilation for Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, you got that remix of the Objection theme, and I really loved that thing. It sounded so nice. I kind of wanted to get something like that for Ace Attorney, but, you know, for Apollo Justice, but apparently not. But anyways, I'm going to select a new game. Turnabout Trump. Yay, okay, cool. That's a good title. I'm sure that's not at all awkward nowadays. But let's just dive in. Episode 1. Ooh, a painter. Neato. A murderous painter? Or is the painter going to be murdered? Oh, also, I need to do adjustments to the audio on the fly. Because, yeah, I couldn't do any tests beforehand. That was a playing card. That was several playing cards. Showdown time. Yes, yes. You lose. Okay. Bottle, smashed. Yep. Okay. Murder mystery, start. You have a strange serial killer involved with cards. I seem to be in a bit of trouble. Something like that. Dead. Someone hit him. Hard. Me? Please. The cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should it come to that. Well, I'm freaked out. What's the play? What the hell? Okay. Ooh, the text is faster now. Sweet. Alright, I think the audio is okay. I don't know, I'm going to leave it on for a second. It's weird because I can hear my own audio looping back in my ears, and that's really mixing with my brain. Anyway, April 20th, 9:37 a.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 3. Panicked. Palms sweaty. I can admit it, I'm nervous. Good morning. Boopity whoop. Oh, hi, I do not know. Good morning, sir. You look tense, Justice. Wound up tight. Wound up, sir? No, I'm loose. I'm fine. That screeching noise, is that your voice? I suppose it's to be expected. Your first trial, and it's a homicide. I guess justice doesn't start small, eh? I think the audio's fine. There. If it is a little bit too loud, let me know. Theoretically, it shouldn't be. Yeah, justice doesn't... It was funny because I was thinking about this earlier, like, the names in freaking Phoenix Wright are ridiculous. Freaking Justice, Wright, Old Bag, you know, like, very descriptive last names. I'm fine. I got up at 5 a.m. to do my Chords of Steel voice workout. I'm fine. Chords of Steel. Great. That explains it. I did detect a certain rasping quality to your screech. I overdid it again. Stop trying to flex muscle. Flex the muscle that makes, that makes sense in court, your brain. As you know, your client today is a good friend of mine. I wouldn't want to let him down, if you get my drift. Drift gotten, sir. I'm all over that drift. As it happens, I dined with him the night of the murder. Okay, well that's not good. We can't let this case fall through. Yes, I'm fine, sir. One more thing. Don't say you're fine quite so much. People might take you the wrong way. Gulp. I'll be preparing our case. You might want to introduce yourself to the client. Okay. Who might that be? Point me in a direction. My name is Apollo Justice. If it isn't clear already, I'm a new attorney. And today is my first trial. Not that I'm worried or anything. The defendant has been accused of murder. My boss wants to help him out, of course. And so do I. I mean, there's no way he did it. Not him. No way. Well, I don't know. I don't know. It said... Oh, hi. You look a little scummy. Although, what's with the hat? Whoa! Good, morning. Man, a few words. Okay. Yeah, morning. It's all up to you today. First trial. Nervous. Meeting him. Cardiac arrest. Someone say something. I think I'm supposed to say yes. Help. So you're... Fine. I'm fine. Mr. Fine, is it? I didn't remember you having an odd name. Well, we're off to a great start. Are you sure you're okay? I mean, with me? Mr. Gavin is a top-notch defense attorney. And he's your friend, so why? You'll see. You can do it. Be confident. I'm really sorry this happened to you. I mean it. It's time, shall we? Yes, sir. Boy, so much nervousness in the air. Okay, I need to focus. First trial. Here comes justice. April 20th, 10 o'clock a.m., District Court, courtroom number 2. All right. Real quick, I'm going to grab something to blow my nose because for whatever reason, just everything has decided to get really tickly here. So I'm going to mute myself real quick. There we go. Okay. Blow my nose. I'm a little bit worried that I might be coming down with something. I don't know. There's a thing that's been going around where a lot of people are getting stuffed throats and stuff. And oh, I hope that's not happening to me. Anyways. Ooh. As knows, there's a little button with... Is that court record or what? Oh, it's a save button. Oh, sweet. Sure, why not? Return to... No, it's fine. Interesting. Sure, I will note that. Oh, no. Yeah, I was hoping that the judge would be one of the mainstay people, because the judge, he grounds things in a ridiculous reality. But the court is now in session. The prosecution... Oh, what the hell have you done to your hair? The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is... fine. I mean, ready, Your Honor. My mind going blank. Don't panic. Get too late. Your name was Mr. Justice? And this is your first trial? Yes, Your Honor. But I'm fine, really. Are you quite sure? Your voice sounds a bit strained. Mr. Gavin. Yes, Your Honor. I was under the impression that you would be heading up this case.
That was my intention, yes. However, a defense attorney must always cede to his client's wishes. And my client specifically requested Mr. Justice.
Well, of course he wants justice. But to entrust his case to this greenhorn, why? I do not exaggerate when I say that you're the best defense attorney in town, Mr. Gavin.
Okay, so Gavin's got trial experience, fine, but does he have cords of steel?
Then let's begin. The defense may enter the courtroom.
Alright, we'll see how this goes.
Question marks. Still don't know his freaking name. This is truly an unfortunate turn of events. I'm sorry we had to meet again under these circumstances.
He's been here before?
What?
A long time no see, Mr. Wright. What? Mr. Wright, who?
What? What? Wait a minute. What the fuck? Alright, well, I'm super confused here. Let's put the past behind us, shall we? These days, I'm merely Phoenix Wright, piano player. What the fuck? I didn't recognize him with the hat on. Shit. Okay.
Mr. Wright, how could this have happened?
I won't speak of it further, then. If the prosecution would be so kind to us explain the charges, Mr. Payne.
To think, I saw you enter this room a fresh attorney, and now I'll see you leave in chains.
Winston Payne. Subtle as ever, I see.
What the hell? Wow, that freaking swerve. I'm glad I didn't know about that.
Ahem. The crime occurred at the Borscht Bowl Club, a Russian restaurant. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, took the victim, a customer, and he hit him. Wham! On the head. Smack. Killed him cold.
A customer at the restaurant, you say?
And, wow, his freaking eyeballs. They've done some work on the art there.
And the defendant, you say he was...
The pianist for the club, it seems.
Phoenix Wright? A pianist?
This is the weapon that took the victim's life. A bottle of grape juice. Grape juice is apparently our defendant's drink of choice.
Ah, yes. Good old classic Japanese grape juice. Yes, I know it well.
The court accepts the deadly bottle as evidence.
Gotcha. Something to note, Justice. All evidence is filed in the court record. Make a practice of checking it frequently.
The court record.
Right. I've heard of that. Use the court record button to look at the evidence so far. I'm confident in your ability to handle this.
Right. Court record button. Sounds like it's time for some hands-on action.
Alright. Well, let's take a look at that. Attorney's badge. I'm gonna check the audio again now that we've got, like, some consistently running music going on. And I'm very paranoid about it. Sound stuff. I guess it could be a little tiny bit quieter. Right about there, I think. Alright. Anyways, there's the attorney's badge. How long did I yearn for one of these? Just putting it on makes me feel ready. And then we have the autopsy report. We need to see this. Time of death was around 2 a.m., April 17th. Death caused by single blow to the forehead. Okay. Noted. There's the crime photo. The sub-basement at the Borscht Bowl Club. Touch the check button for details. Let me see. Interesting. I feel like if somebody smashed someone over the head with a wine bottle, the wine bottle would shatter. Like, that's one thing that immediately pops into my brain. We got cards sitting everywhere. And he was smacked directly in the forehead, correct? So his stance would make a lot of sense. I think it's all coming together properly. Oh, wait. I forgot. Let me check the bottle. Grape juice bottle used as the murder weapon. Bears the defendant, Mr. Wright's prints. Shit. Alright. Guess we'll see how this goes.
So, the victim was a customer at the restaurant. But just who was this, Shady Smith fellow?
We believe he was a traveler, Your Honor.
A traveler?
According to his passport, he had been out of this country for a number of years. He had only returned to this country recently, though his place of residence is unclear.
And he had some sort of connection with the defendant?
That, too, is unclear at present, Your Honor. We believe they first met at the Borscht Bowl Club on the night of the crime.
And just a murder happened for no reason? If they had only just met, then why murder? Perhaps the victim slighted the defendant's piano playing? Yes, a very, very petty reason for murder, but yeah. Just like, you're not playing well enough. I suppose I've seen a few hecklers that, yeah, you do want to just throttle their throats.
That doesn't appear to have been the case. No, the motive had nothing to do with the defendant's lack of playing skill. At least, not piano playing. I'll let this photo explain what I mean.
Yep, that one.
As we can see, a game of poker was in progress at the scene of the crime.
Wait a second! Isn't poker gambling?
Mm-hmm.
And so is loot boxes, but nobody's fixing that. That's a crime in and of itself! No, it's not. Well, I mean, underground gambling for sure.
Indeed, it appears our defendant has fallen to become the Bassett sort of criminal. Oh, a bassist sort of criminal.
Oh, objection. It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim, yet it was only that, a game. In a purest sense, a competition, Your Honor.
A competition?
Yes, a test of wits. A silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame, know its final outcome. Did anybody check the cards, or are those completely out of order now? Come again?
The cards on the table had blue backs, Your Honor. I believe the defense was waxing poetic in an attempt to mystify those present. And impress women, yes.
That will be our first order of business here, then. To find out more about this fatal game of cards. Oh, boy. Why are you smiling, dude? Very well, defendant. You will testify to the court about the poker competition held the night of the crime. My pleasure. This is it. My first trial. Here goes nothing. I don't know what's going to happen here. Why? Why have you done this? I'm a pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. My real job is to take on interested customers over at the poker table. The room where we play and the competition in there are the club's main attractions. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. That's all it is, a game, and our customers are happy. Alright, no money involved in it whatsoever, or... A pianist who can't play piano.
Better than a defense attorney who can't defend.
Hey, fuck off. Alright, we done good work in the past, sir. Very well. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Right, Your Honor. My first cross-examination. Don't blow it. Are you alright? You're sweating bullets. Bullets? Where? It's a figure of speech, Justice. Your voice sounds strained and raspy, too. My brain feels strained and raspy, sir. You've watched me perform cross-examinations many times. Though you've never done one yourself, have you? Care for a refresher? What to do? Should I ask Mr. Gavin for a refresher course? No. I think I got it. No need for help, sir. I think I've got this one covered. I think you'd better do more than think. You know it or you do not. I'm fine. The cords of steel are ready for battle. My weapons, press and present. Find any inconsistencies and lies in the testimony and reveal them to the court. That is cross-examination. Learn it, know it, do it. Inconsistencies, lies. Phoenix Wright? As if. Phoenix Wright would never lie. And it's up to me to prove it. The defense may begin the cross-examination. All right. So why would Phoenix lie in this case? And what would be inconsistent with what he says? First off, though, I'm going to go ahead and save. Gotta say, I like the fact that I could say save, return to title screen. Nope, keep playing. Because before I had to, like, roundabout through it. Anyway, penis by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. Hold it! You can hardly play? Oh, I play sometimes, when customers demand it. So I play them one song. That's usually all they want. What song? It's probably useless, but what song? Was that supposed to be a boast just now? The title of pianist is a mask. A respectable face I wear for the world at large. Then why are you really at the Borscht Bowl Club? My real job is to take on interested customers over at the poker table. They pay you to just play poker? That would seem to be the case. I am a professional, after all.
Do I detect pride in that statement? It's just hard for an honest, hard-working member of society like me to imagine.
Yes. Your imagination was always a bit limited, Winston.
What?
I played poker for 7 years in that little room. And I've never lost. Once. Oh, I've never lost once. Don't give them reasons to suspect you're a murderer, dude.
What?
You see why the customers come now? Defeat the undefeated poker champion. It's quite a draw. That is, I'm quite a draw. Wait, you never lost once? Not even one time? As I said, I'm a professional. He's played poker for 7 years and not lost once? Is that even possible? I don't know. I didn't think Phoenix is a gambling man, so this is just weirding me the hell out. The room where we play and the competition in there are the club's main attractions. The room in the crime scene photo is an attraction? It has quite a history, actually. The Borscht Bowl Club used to be a gathering spot for black market types back in the day. Black market? All in the past. Things like the black market are only on the silver screen nowadays. Suffice to say that there were a lot of deals being made under the table. Right there in that room. A smoky room, gambling hoods, you know. Just looking at this picture makes me feel bad. The bosses gather around the table, cutting deals, safe from the eyes of the law. Meanwhile, a goon keeps watch through the small window. I can practically picture it now. That window does look like it would be good for keeping a lookout, but little else. The room had a few other tricks to it, though it was common knowledge to our regulars. At any rate, they come to play poker in a room steeped in history. Despite the dark past, it was all just good, clean fun. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. Are there 2 decks of cards? 2 decks of cards? A simple measure to prevent cheating. If you alternate 2 decks, no one can slip in cards. There's something else I noticed. In addition to the cards on the table, there are some lying scattered on the floor. Precisely. Cards on the table, cards upon the floor. Each one forming a complete deck. A crime scene painted blue by a sad sweep of cards. It's poetic, really. Incidentally, we used 2 types of cards at the club. One deck of cards was red, the other blue. As I recall, in poker, you make 5-card hands. I can see how it would be easy to cheat. Yes, a game of hands. Huh? I is confused, what? Oh, alright. This competition you're talking about. I believe the court understands the nature of the game sufficiently. That's right. It was a simple game, after all. Are you sure? Huh? People are not murdered over simple games, Mr. Justice. The defendant, you were in the room the very moment that the crime occurred, yet you claim no connection to the crime? Now that's strange. What's strange? I was testifying about the competition that night. Asking me about the crime at this point is against the rules, Your Honor. Of course, I expected to hear a cry of objection from the defense, Hey, stop pointing out my contradiction. Jesus Christ. I know, you're not a lawyer anymore. Stop contradicting. I completely let that one slip by. Don't despair yet, Justice. Sir? Right. There's something I'd like made clear. Namely, your connection to the case at hand. I'd like to hear it from you. Sure, why not? Very well. The defendant will amend his testimony. Just one little press, and I got myself a whole new testimony. I plead silence regarding the murder, but I will say I never touched the murder weapon. Alright. Interesting. So we just skipped past this one. Okay, that's all it is, a game, and our customers are happy. Why not? Let's take a look. So you claimed you weren't gambling? That's right. It was simply a game. You didn't bet any money? Not even a little? The only thing at stake in our game was pride itself. Oh, well put, Mr. Wright. I've got a mind to play a hand of poker myself. The stakes, your fate. Can we get back to the trial now? Alright, I played silence regarding the murder, but I will say I never touched the murder weapon. Oh, really? I think that's a lie. Silence! The defendant has the right to refuse to testify. I haven't forgotten everything about the law. You don't learn anything. You didn't know anything about the law. You were literally just, you dived in being like, hey, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense either. And that was your game. But why? That clearly puts you at a disadvantage. And it's your job to turn that around in our favor, yes? Great. Like I didn't have enough to do already. Justice, didn't you detect anything odd about that testimony? Huh? Wait. Something he said did ring a little strangely. Just one thing. No, what was it? When you figure it out, I'd suggest presenting evidence. Evidence that contradicts the testimony. Contradiction in Mr. Wright's testimony? But why? I better check the court record. I can't imagine Mr. Wright lying in a testimony. Isn't it a little early to be jumping to conclusions? This is your first cross-examination. Take it slow. If you need more information, don't forget to press. Right. I got it. I'm fine. Time to listen to that testimony again. No, I got you. I pled silence regarding the murder, but I will say I never touched the murder weapon. Oh, huh? Oopsies. Wait a minute. No, don't save the game. Sorry, press the wrong button. That might become a problem if I keep pressing that constantly. Deadly bottle. Bears the defendant, Mr. Wright's prints. So you say you didn't touch the murder weapon? This grape juice bottle. Right? So I said. Is something the matter, Mr. Justice? Classy bastard.
Too bad our new defense attorney never learned how to play dumb.
What's this, Mr. Payne?
I examined the bottle in question, you see, and it was covered with the defendant's fingerprints.
Sweat. Objection! No need to shout, Mr. Justice. I can hear you just fine. Excess yelling can damage the judge's ears and our case. Oh, whatever. Phoenix has done that all the time. But what about my cords of steel? Anyway, what's so strange about fingerprints on a bottle in a restaurant? Well, that's true. The prints alone don't... Damn it.
No, they wouldn't prove a thing if they were normal fingerprints.
Huh?
But the fingerprints on the murder weapon were upside down.
Upside down? What does that mean?
It means he was holding the bottle inverted, and there could be only one reason for that.
Yeah. Shit. That's decent proof.
Yes. To brain someone with the bottle.
Crap. Mr. Gavin, I think things just took a turn for the worse. Oh, I see no problem. Justice. The only thing that matters is the truth. There's a good reason for everything, you'll see.
Defendant, can you explain your fingerprints on this bottle to the court?
I stand by my plea of silence regarding the murder. For now.
Not very cooperative, are you? This could hurt your case.
I'm sure he's uncooperative because he's hiding something. There must be some reason.
Your Honor, you seem to have forgotten something.
And what might that be, Mr. Gavin?
On the night of the crime, who was it who reported the murder to the police?
Reported?
Well, that was the defendant, Mr. Wright, but still, that...
Really?
Yes, well, according to the case file, the murder weapon was reported from near the scene by a call from the defendant's cell phone.
Near the scene?
Let's take a look at a diagram of the murder scene, shall we?
That should help things out.
The victim was murdered in a small room in a basement 2 floors down from the ground level. Of course, cell phones can't get reception so far down. The defendant used the stairs in the hallway to go above ground. The call came from the first floor of the restaurant.
I see. And this is the cell phone that made the call?
That is old as hell. Boy, what time is this happening? It's like 7 years after the events of the last game, at the very least. So, oh god, like we are so far into the future, but so far in the past with cell phones. The defendant could have just fled the scene of the crime if he so chose, yet he fulfilled his duty as a citizen to report it to the authorities. And you claim he is being uncooperative? Nice save, Mr. Gavin. Better not waste this. I think the prosecution has toyed with our client enough for the time being.
Toy? I assure you, no one is more serious about...
What was it you said? The defendant was in the room the very moment that the crime occurred? How can you possibly know this?
That's a good question. How indeed?
The answer is simple, Your Honor. The prosecution has a decisive witness.
You're as good as they say you are.
So someone else was in the room the night of the crime? That must mean they witnessed the crime. Everything up till now has been a warm-up, Justice. Are you ready?
I hope so. Very well. The prosecution may call its first witness to the stand.
Who saw the freaking murder? Oh, hi. Who might you be?
The witness will state her name and profession.
Oh, hold on just a moment. Where's the witness?
I surmise that she has been frightened by the defense's demonic-looking horns.
Oh, shut up.
So I used a little hair gel. Relax, people. Have no fear. If any horns point in your direction, this court will cut them off.
You are sure?
I swear it's on my gavel. Please, come out.
Isn't violence against hair a crime, Your Honor? Yeah, I wouldn't say that. And I've seen some Mohawks being like, Jesus, will you cut that down a little bit?
Well, if you're sure it's okay.
Howdy. Who might you be?
Now, the prosecutor...
Okay, cool.
Wait a minute.
I'm pretty sure those are not allowed in the court.
Would the prosecution care to explain the witness's paraphernalia?
Yes. She's a professional, Your Honor. Those are merely the tools of her trade.
That would be...
My name is, Olga Orley. I am employed as waitress in the Borscht Bowl Club restaurant.
Then, why the camera?
Exactly. Why camera? Why is it in the courtroom? Why hasn't the bailiff taken it out? And, can I eat whatever's in the pot?
Of course, it is my pride to serve borscht that is naming restaurant. To serve borscht that is naming restaurant.
Oh, wait, are you supposed to... Is this supposed to have an accent? That sounds like an accent. But I also perform, how is it said, other service. My guess is that this is supposed to be sort of like Russian.
But I also perform, how is it, it said, other service?
I take it one of these other services is taking the customer's pictures?
No. No, sir. Like for example, this one.
Oh boy, okay. Bad. That's the defendant!
Indeed, on the night of the murder. Man in white hat is one who has gone kaput.
Indeed. That is the victim.
So, yes, Phoenix did hang out with him.
Crap. Order! Order! This is quite a piece of evidence to casually drop into our laps.
It is same way as I drop cold bowls of borscht on laps of customers. Casually.
Then the court will casually accept this new evidence.
Oh, crap. All right. Hopefully there's something in that picture that actually helps me. Actually, come to think of it, let me take a look at it real quick. Let me see. Well, there's the bottles. Shit. I mean, I suppose if you're reaching into the box, you could be picking it up from the handle, like, upside down. I can't excuse the way that he picked it up. I don't know. And then there's... Why is there... Is that fake snow? Like, that's all I'm thinking about. Is like, what the hell is happening there? I can't see anything particular about this. I mean, maybe it'll have something to do with the food on the table at some point. Let's see. The defendant, Mr. Smith at the Borscht Bowl Club. Very well. I'll just keep that in mind. Oh, although, while I'm here... Cell phone. Used by the defendant to notify the police from the restaurant's first floor. Gotcha.
Now, witness, where were you at the time of the murder? I was in room. The hideout, we call it.
Excuse me? The hideout?
It is room where famous gangster bad guy was arrested.
Bad guy?
Is room where murder took place?
What?
Your look of utter surprise. It is lovely. I will post my courtroom door later for you. Photos will be numbered, and you will write which ones you want copy of.
So there were 3 people in the room at the time of the crime. The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and Olga Orley, our witness. And if Mr. Wright isn't the killer, that means...
a lady.
Very well, witness. You will testify to the court about that night's events.
How would she have killed him? Also, she's very scrawny. How did you make it happen?
That night, customer asked me to deal cards for game. It was cold. Both players played with hats on, The victim, he plays whole time with his hand on locket at his neck. Then, last hand is done. But something terrible had happened, That man flew at victim and is strangling him to death.
Strangling him? That makes no sense.
Incidentally, who won the game?
Does it matter now? We know that somebody is very much dead and maybe strangled or hit.
Is it obvious? The winner was the victim, Mr. Smith.
That's ridiculous! Because Mr. Wright can't laugh. Again, stop buttering him up and conjecture us as all balls.
Justice, maybe you can come up with a more legitimate objection.
But he hasn't lost in 7 years!
Take it from me, kid. It happens. I didn't lose a case my first 7 years as prosecutor, either. Incidentally, I have some evidence here.
Okay, those are the hands, then.
These are the poker chips as they lay the very moment of the crime. The hand and chips on this side belong to the defendant, Mr. Wright. Those on the far side belong to the victim, Mr. Smith.
I'm trying to figure out the suits here. Yeah, they got like 2 aces and... Oh, that's a damn good hand if I'm remembering my poker correctly. I don't really play too much poker, but I can just tell, like, oh. Also, he's got many more chips than he does. So, yeah, it sort of went south very quick.
Chips, you say?
I mean, yes. Imagine that poker is war. Your hand is your army. The chips are the spoils.
I know that. After all, in my youth, I was known as the poker head of courtroom number 3. Oh, God. Poker club? Like, legal poker club? I don't quite... that is not comprehensible for me whatsoever. Okay. I mean, I guess anybody could have a poker club. Any old random schmucks. I think he means poker face. Looking at this picture, it does seem that most of the chips are on the victim's side of the table. Very well. Very well. The defense may cross-examine the witness. Alright, let's see if we can get... I think I already have an idea of what the hell the contradiction is, but I'm just gonna press. Oh, but first, though... Again, let's just keep old habits alive and save. That night customer asked me to deal cards for a game. You were dealing cards? Do you do this often?
Da, I am doing this. If customer wishes it, I serve anything. Borscht, cards, more borscht. It is my work.
It's good to hear of a place that hasn't forgotten the meaning of service.
Welcome to your Borscht Bowl Club, where borscht is as warm as the waitress.
Thank you for not handing out flyers during the cross-examination.
It was cold. Both players played with hats on.
Okay. It's already April. How can it be cold?
At Borscht Bowl Club, we have prided on authentic Russian restaurant theme. Outside it is city in spring, but inside it is always as cold as Mother Russia. Oh god, this is partially offensive. No way am I going there. When it comes to hot borscht, cold is best seasoning, The victim, he plays whole time with his hand on locket at his neck.
Any more information about the locket? His locket?
I believe it was good luck charm, He gripped it many times as he played that night.
Yes, he must have felt as though it might carry him to the moon and the stars. Though if it was small enough to fit around his neck, it wouldn't have much lift. The defense would like a clarification. This is a locket we're talking about. I mean, a pendant with a picture in it, right? Not a rocket. Of course, I knew that. It was probably a pendant shaped like a rocket. That's why she called it that. No, a locket's a locket, Your Honor. It's considered bad form to poke fun at the hard of hearing in our society. Hard of hearing or hard of understanding? It's a little bit of both, the judge.
So, what happened next? Then last hand is done, but something terrible happened,
Something terrible? The defense will refrain from needless shouting. Sorry. I need to seriously reconsider this vocal training thing.
Now, Miss Orley, can you tell us what happened? Well, I was so frightened. I trembled with fear. That man flew at victim and is strangling him to death.
Mm-hmm. But the defendant would never do such a thing. That's not the point, dude. Well, now I can't say I've ever heard the defense try this tactic. If possible, please, refrain from embarrassing me. Still, why would anyone do something like this over a game of poker?
Perhaps it is because defendant had lost the game? Yes, a crushing defeat for a man undefeated. So it always is with men like him. Winners make sore losers. Oh, how the mighty fall.
Go ahead. I believe you know what it is you need to do. Right, sir. Leave it to me. There were only 3 people in the room at the time of the murder. The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and if Mr. Wright isn't the killer. I've got you now, Orley. Alright. So the man flew at victim and is strangling him to death? Ma'am, death caused by single blow to forehead. That's an easy one. Oh, really? Strangled, you say? That's odd. Normal customers only choke on borscht. No, I mean, this report shows that the victim died of a blow to the head. Miss Orley, really now? Did you witness the crime? Ooh, fancy. I guess you gotta be skilled in order to carry around the borscht. Looking at the picture, it doesn't seem like he was hit. He's still wearing his hat and everything.
Yet, it is a fact that he was hit, Your Honor.
Yes, okay.
Here's a photo we took of the victim with his hat off during the investigation.
Well, that's quite shocking, isn't it? This head certainly was hit.
Okay, that'll give us more info, I guess.
But I have seen it happen.
How did she see somebody get choked out? I don't know. I'm gonna check this real quick. Okay, yes. That appears to be a blood wound. What's confusing me is the fact that the blood, after he got hit in the head, if you think about it, the blood would have like trickled down his face at this angle. So, did he get hit over the head at one point, and then his head was like tilted backwards, and then all the blood was like pouring up over his, like, you know, over the top of his head? Yeah, like that does not seem to fit together properly. I think so. I don't. That's probably true, because most of the time when it comes to an ace attorney game, the first case is always the easiest and the simplest one to figure out. So I'm gonna keep that in mind.
The defendant, he lunged at victim, his neck.
Oh, really, Miss Orley? I think I've caught you in your own little lie this time. Justice, I admire your enthusiasm, but perhaps you should think this through once more.
What do you mean? I found a contradiction. Give me a gold star, damn it.
There's one thing in her testimony that troubles me.
Very well. It seems we should continue this cross-examination.
There's such a thing as thinking too much. This horse is dead. Let's stop beating it. There's such a thing as thinking aloud too much, too.
Hey, shut up.
Okay, that night customer asked me to deal cards for a game. It was cold and both players played with hats on. Well, interesting. So it's... Okay, after the defendant tried to strangle victim, he hit him with bottle. Let's press this thing now.
You didn't say anything about hitting before.
So sorry. I must be forgetting this,
Witness, you will take greater care with your testimony.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. And that clears up the discrepancy with the autopsy report, I believe. The defendant made to strangle his victim, then changed his mind. And chose a simpler, blunter means to do the job. Yes, that sums it up nicely.
So he strangled him, then hit him? Something's fishy about all this. Go ahead. I believe you know what it is you need to do.
Right, sir. Leave it to me.
There were only 3 people in the room at the time of the murder. Those guys. Alright, so that's supposedly cleared that up. But what about everything else? Then, last hand is done, but something terrible has happened. The victim, he plays hold time with his hand on locket at his neck. Locket on neck. I'm a bit concerned. Let me check this real quick. Okay, yep. Okay, so that's the locket. It seems to right in between the place where the shoulder blades or whatever. No, it's not the shoulder blades, but right at like the end of the neckline. It seems to sit right there on his neck. I think I noticed something in this picture. There ain't no locket around his neck. Where'd the locket go? Yeah! I'm glad I noticed that. There was one curious part in her testimony, just like Mr. Gavin said. But what does it mean?
Mr. Justice, would you care to explain what it is you're thinking so intensely about, and why you've shouted to my damn court again?
Recall the testimony, Your Honor. The victim played with his hand-on locket at his neck, I believe she said.
I hope you aren't about to raise an objection with the witness's grammar.
No, but look at this photograph. Do you see a locket on the victim's neck? Well done, Justice. I'm impressed. I knew you'd be able to handle this. But what does it mean? If we are to believe this witness's testimony as is, then the locket disappeared following the victim's death. Lockets don't just disappear, Your Honor. It's quite simple when you think about it. If the locket is gone, someone must have taken it off, no? Taking it off? Wait, you don't mean... The defendant wasn't strangling the victim at all. He was taking off his locket. Wouldn't that explain it? Gah! Yeah!
Weird.
Defendant, what do you have to say to this?
Oh, wow. Okay, we swap people in pretty quickly here.
Say.
Yes?
I just noticed this, but you have something hanging around your neck.
Oh, fucking shit. Oh, you mean this? Yes, it's a locket. With a photograph inside. Photo of my daughter? You have a daughter now?
Come again? Mr. Wright, you have a daughter?
He confirmed it at the time of the arrest. The picture in the locket is indeed Mr. Wright's daughter. Oh boy.
So Mr. Wright has a locket too? Why don't I buy that this is just a coincidence? Well now, if the result of this poker game led to the murder, perhaps we should hear a bit more about the outcome of the game.
Further testimony won't really be necessary. It's clear the defendant lost. Badly.
Oh, Olga, you have something to say? Miss Orley, you will testify to the court about the game played between the victim and the defendant.
Duh!
I have a theory of my own brewing, and I think it has something to do with swapping people, putting them in places that they weren't there before.
The game began with 3,500 points in chip for each man. House chips come in two sizes, small and large. The one who was winning, it was victim. For the last hand, defendant play with all chips on table and lose. The moment loss was decided, defendant grabs bottle from table and...
Bull. Indeed, looking at this picture, it does seem to be a one-sided game.
As the court knows, poker was the defendant's life. Failure must have been a bitter pill to swallow.
Ah, how many times have I heard these words? I done it in a fit of anger, Your Honor, and now I regret it. A common tale, but true. Methinks the judge watches too many old court movies. Mr. Wright said he hasn't lost in 7 years, so this testimony must be wrong. Nah, I wouldn't say that. There's always a chance that you could lose, no matter how much time has passed. Anyway, so... let's go ahead and save. Head back into the courtroom.
The game began with 3,500 points in chip for each man.
Are those the usual starting points? Were any special rules used?
No, not special. Usual game, usual rules.
If each man began with 3,500 points, then the total would be... exactly 7,000 points.
Please, this isn't calculus. It's not even long division. House chips come in two sizes, small and large, yes? Well, why not? Press.
Are the chips in this photo all the chips that were used?
Of course.
Why are you freaked out about that? Something's fishy with those chips. Should I press her hard? Sure, why not? Maybe you could explain a bit about these chips.
Explain? What is there to be explained? Poker chips are poker chips. They're not fish and chips. Not a chip off the old block, not a motor. Shit's like chip.
Thanks. Now that I've pressed her, I'd better ask something. What are these chips worth? Are they in dollars or rubles even? Or
Yet, as I've been saying before, it was game, not gambling. Hard perhaps for capitalists to understand.
shut up.
2 types of chip, 100-point chip and 1,000-point chip. It is not money, duh.
Justice.
Sir.
Don't you find her comment interesting? In more ways than one, sir. I'd have it added to her testimony myself. Well, does the defense want the witness to add to her testimony? Yeah, it's always beneficial to just have more testimony. And sometimes it fills the, the space a little bit more with too much info, but, meh. Yes, I do think that deserves further scrutiny. Add it to the testimony. I wish I knew where I was going with this. So do I. Very well, witness, if you would be so kind.
Your Honor.
One kind of chip is worth 100 point, other kind is worth 1,000. 2 kinds in all. Well, let me go ahead and look at... Oh, shit! Oh, apparently it's right. Okay, fuck. Sorry. I was just planning on looking at the picture. Alright, hold up. It's right, but I want to look at this real quick, because I had a suspicion. Wait a minute, hold up. Okay, so, let me see. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... I don't think that counts up to 7,000. Yeah, no, because, like, okay, 1,000, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then the other ones are 100, so, yeah, that's about, like, 600. There's only, like, 1,600 chip, chip value over here, right? I think, no, it's, like, 10,000. I'm trying to count it up because it would be somewhere around 14,000 points, right? And there aren't enough points there. I think that's where we're going with this. You're sure it was the victim who won? Well. Right, leave that. There. Absolutely sure.
It seems our new attorney is a bit confused. A glance at this picture is enough to tell you who won. If you're not in kindergarten.
Just for safety's sake, could you explain the problem to the court? Of course, Your Honor. In this photo, I see small chips and I see large chips. Tell me, which were worth 1,000 points?
Why, the big ones, of course, duh.
Oh, I thought so too. But then the totals don't add up.
The totals?
Let's review what the witness told us. Each man started with 3,500 points in chips. Oh, wait a minute. Damn it, did I not do the math right? Oh, right, the combined total was 7,000, but oh, that's the issue. Okay. I thought it was doubling 7,000. No. Turns out it was doubling 3,500. Okay. And there's way more chips there. Okay. I knew the math was completely off, that's for sure. But I'm terrible with math. So, woohoo. And the combined total value of the chips was 7,000 points. Yes, if my calculations are correct. Let's see. 3 plus 1. Carry the 5. They are, Your Honor. Now, look at this photo that allegedly shows all the chips. Yeah, it's a lot more than 7. If the big chips are worth 1,000 points, and the small chips are worth 100, and you add them up.
How much is it?
Do it yourself. You weren't in kindergarten, are you? 10,600 points. The chips don't add up. This clearly contradicts the witness's testimony.
Why? How could this be?
Exactly, Justice. Now that you know what, you must determine the why. Right. There's only one possible way to explain the contradiction. Starting points were wrong. Chip count was wrong. Shit, I don't know. I don't know which one of them, Oh, I could save from here. Hold up. All right, so there's only one possible way to explain the contradiction. So why would there be more chips than that on the table? Starting points were wrong. Chip count was wrong. Both were right. Where's he going with this? I'm trying to think about this. It's like, why would the chip discrepancy happen? This is the most different thing. I'm just going to choose it. Each man began the game with 3,500 points. If all the chips are indeed shown in this photograph, then there could be only one answer. Well, what is it? The value of the chips was the other way around. What? Want to know what I think? The small chips were worth 1,000 points, not the big ones.
Madness! Utter madness!
Show me that photograph of the chips again. Okay, there are 6 small chips and 10 large chips.
Oh my god, Phoenix was winning!
Why, that does make 7,000 points when you add them up!
Excellent work, Justice. It's almost as though you figured it out by yourself. Well, I'm just glad I was the one who said it.
But wait! The value of the chips may be different, but that changes nothing!
Indeed, the victim did have the large number of chips still.
No, he didn't.
Gah!
Exactly. If the small chips are 1,000 points and the large chips are 100, let's do a little math. Add up the points for each side of the table.
The victim, Mr. Smith, had 2,900, and the other one had 4,300. And said, "Thank you. I would like to have more control over the keys, please."
Well, now, seems that Mr. Wright was winning that night after all.
That's impossible!
My client had even less reason to kill the victim. After all, he was winning! Now, Miss Orley, you must have known the true value of the chips, since you were there at the scene of the crime. Weren't you? Again, nice catch again. I've seen some waitresses that are absolute ninjas when it comes, like, I've seen a couple of ninja moves when, like, a tray is just about to fall off of something and just being able to catch it with the other hand, like, that kind of thing. But that is, like, on another level.
Order, order! It appears our defendant has lost his motive, and Mr. Wright's supposed defeat never happened. We must now ask ourselves whether we can...
Who? What? Eh? Oh.
Excuse me, what is it, Miss Orley?
I did not want to be saying this, but actually, you see...
See what, Miss Orley? What do we see?
In the left hand, there was cheat.
Oh. Right.
A cheat? You don't mean a trick?
Wait, or do you mean a scam?
They're all the same thing. Yes, there was cheat in the left hand. That is why game ends with chips as they are.
Right. Just great. First we have lying, now cheating. Well, this case certainly has taken a turn. For the interesting.
Witness, you will please testify to the court. Tell us about this cheating in the final hand.
Lovely. Constant swirling. Eventually she's going to say the lie that pins her to it.
The last hand, both men had a full house. There is 4 of each card in deck from ace to king. If you look at both men's hand, cheat is more obvious. The next moment, game becomes argument. The defendant's trick was exposed. He took bottle in his hand. Poor Mr. Smith.
Miss Orley, why did you not tell the court about this from the very beginning? Oh yeah, because she's hiding shit. That's why. I thought I smelled a cover up here. Well, folks, it's time to throw back the covers.
A full house is a very high-scoring hand. Not easy to make, in my experience.
That alone is enough to suspect less than scrupulous tactics.
Mr. Gavin, what's a full house?
Well, lawyers these days, you don't know your poker?
I can't say this bodes well for your case. Or career.
What is this, some kind of secret court poker ring? Justice. You know the terms one pair, two pair, three of a kind, yes? Yeah, no problem. Two cards with the same number make a pair, three makes a three of a kind. Oh, right, sorry, wrong voice. Mayor. Good. Now, picture a hand with one pair and one three of a kind. That is a full house. That doesn't sound very easy to make, does it?
You can see each player's hand in this photo. Wow, they both have full houses. We forget there's an easy way to make a full house and go undefeated for 7 years. You cheat.
The defense may cross-examine the witness.
If he did cheat in the last hand, there still leaves one important question. Mr. Wright lost that hand. Who's ever heard of a professional con man losing when they cheat?
Yeah, this will all unravel eventually, I'm sure.
The last hand, both men had a full house.
And we're doing pretty freaking good, but... Save time. Alright, both men had a full house, yeah? Just how hard is it to make a full house anyway?
It is quite hard, It is making a pair and a three of a kind at the same time.
I guess that's right.
Very difficult, to be sure. You can take my word as the poker head of courtroom number 3.
Very difficult, but is not impossible.
Okay, full house. Hard, this line of questioning. A waste of time.
There is 4 of each card in deck from ace to king.
4 of each card, you say?
There is 1 spade, 1 diamond, 1 heart, and 1 club for each card. It is interesting fact that the number 4 comes from number of seasons.
You don't say.
And did you know that the cards are numbered 1 through 13? Add all the cards in a deck and you get 364. A year.
You don't say. Isn't that one day short? Yes, that's what I was thinking.
That's why each deck has 2 jokers. They say the second joker stands for the leap year. Thus, you have a perfect representation of the year, all in a deck of cards.
You don't say. We're going to be in this courtroom for a year if it keeps going like this.
No, more card trivia.
Did you know the game of poker? If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious.
How is it clear?
The defendant, he played a 5th ace.
5th ace?
I still remember both hands very well. Mr. Smith's hand had 3 aces. And Mr. Wright's 2. Obviously, cheating was afoot. Or perhaps I should say, a hand.
Your Honor, perhaps this can be added to the testimony without Mr. Payne's joke.
Very well. The witness will add this detail to her testimony, please.
Okay, Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces, Mr. Wright's 2. 5 aces in all. Okay.
A 5th ace?
It should not exist, no.
No, it shouldn't.
I still remember both hands very well.
Okay, let me think about this. So, 2 kings, and then there's the aces. Mr. Smith's hands, 3 aces. The double seems to be the ace of spades.
Well, where did this card come from, then?
Perhaps we should ask the defendant that very question. Adding cards to a deck is no less serious a taboo than forging evidence in a court of law.
Wait, I haven't forged evidence, right?
And now, perhaps it's time for you to say something, Justice.
You bet. I have no intention of staying quiet. Not me. No, sir.
I'd better find some contradicting evidence fast.
The next moment, game becomes argument. The defendant's check was exposed. Well, all right. Let me take a look at what we got here so far. Okay, sub-basement. Check for details. I mean, that says nothing about the cards. Cell phone. There's that photo. And then there's the chip photo. Let me take a look at this real quick. What? Wait a minute. Wait. Hold the wait a minute. I'm taking a look at this and... No. No! No, it's absolutely wrong! No, because you see, like, there. Okay, 2 aces over there, 2 aces over here. He has a, a triple of 7, and and the victim had triple of king. No, this is absolutely legit. Like, the fuck? Yeah, Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces, Mr. Wright's 2. Hell to the no? What the hell? It appears the witness is mistaken. Mistaken? But my name... Look, this piece of evidence clearly contradicts what you said in your testimony. That's the photo of the chips, is it not? Justice, perhaps you ought to explain your point in a way that the judge can comprehend. Yes, yes. Very, very slow-moving brain. Very slow-moving gears. Sort of like me. In other words, use your finger to point out your point. Yes, please, point out the contradiction in this photo. What particular point contradicts the witness's testimony? Well, the issue is the fact that there are only 2 aces over here, sir. Miss Orley, in your testimony, you made the following claim. Mr. Smith's hand had 3 aces. But as you can clearly see, the victim's hand only held 2 aces. Gotcha.
Well, maybe the witness was simply confused. Perhaps it was the defendant's hand that held the 3rd ace in question.
Take another look at the evidence. As you can see, the defendant also had 2 aces in his hand. Where's the 5th ace? I see cheating, all right. It's going on right here in this courtroom. 2 aces in each player's hand. Does make 4 aces in total. Hardly proof of cheating.
Well, wait, please. It is true. I have seen it. The 5th ace.
There was a cheating. I swear to you. That's odd. She must be lying, yet she's the most sincere I've seen her all day. You're right to trust your instincts, Mr. Gavin. Who knows what lies in store for us in the trial ahead? Your Honor, if I may, I have a suggestion. What might that be, Mr. Gavin? If you don't mind, perhaps we might examine the actual cards. The cards? Mr. Payne.
Yes.
Player's hand that night were set aside as evidence, were they not? The defense would like to request that the cards be shown to the court. Very well. The prosecution will submit this evidence. Which will you examine? The victim's card or the defendant's card? If these cards don't prove cheating was going on, nothing will. Now, which of these hands is more suspicious? I don't know. But I am saving anyways. I want to go for the victim's cards. Yes. It was the victim's hand that changed over the course of the witness's testimony. The defense requests time to examine Mr. Smith's cards. Very well, Mr. Payne, if you would.
Very well.
Okay, got him. And yep, there... Wait. No, there are only 2 aces. So there we go. Well, time's a-wasting. Get to it, Justice.
Yes, sir.
I know, I was going to do that. When examining evidence, be sure to view it from all sides and angles. Try using the dials on the evidence viewer. That should give you a better perspective on the case. Okay, let's do this. Yep, okay. And then the dials. Let's see what's on the... Oh my god, that's right. Uh-huh. I see.
What? Your Honor, look at this. One of the victim's cards. The back's a different color.
That's impossible! But I put that card in right hand.
Wait. What was that, Miss Orley?
No, you take. I merely said that. I have.
Your Honor. Mr. Gavin, yes? Tell me, what is the easiest way to cheat at poker? To cheat? I'll tell you. One merely needs a friend, a comrade, shall we say, waka waka. The dealer. Wait, so you mean this witness, Miss Orley? She's the cheater. A professional, I'd wager.
Yarg!
How did nobody notice this up until now? Order! Order! Focus, Justice. Time to take advantage of her. Of her mistake. Yeah. Your Honor, please recall the testimony we just heard.
That's impossible. But I put that card in right hand.
Ergo, Miss Olga Orley conspired to cheat, not with my client, but with the victim, Mr. Shady Smith. Not only did she cheat, she cheated poorly. Therefore, it's not hard to imagine an altercation between her and the victim.
What?
Wait, you don't mean the defense isn't accusing the witness, Miss Olga Orley, are you? Time for justice. There were 3 people in the room at the time of the incident, and if Mr. Wright isn't guilty, that means I am. The defense accuses the witness, Miss Olga Orley, of murder. Faint. Oh, wow, that was lucky. Well, I guess we'll see how this turns out. Must get drink. Mr. Payne, where is your witness, Miss Olga Orley?
It appears she has lost consciousness, Your Honor.
Mr. Justice, Your Honor, it seems you presented a new possibility to the court. One suggesting a connection between the witness and the victim, Mr. Smith.
And that means?
This court cannot pronounce a verdict for the defendant at this time.
What?
I did it. I held out. I see no point in prolonging the trial this day. The prosecution will need to make further inquiries.
Oh, goddamn. Phoenix, why?
What have you done? Mr. Wright!
Can't end the trial here, Your Honor.
Not yet.
What nonsense is the defendant spewing now?
Think. One of the cards has a different colored back.
Don't you wonder what it means? What are you doing, Mr. Wright? Raising objections right when you're about to get off the hook? Ridiculous!
Mr. Payne, you of all people should know, Mr. Wright has a talent. For the ridiculous.
Exactly.
Perhaps we should get to the bottom of things. Let's clear up the fact about the game that fateful night.
As was said before, we alternate between 2 decks of cards that night. That was said before. The 2 decks at the club have different colored backs, blue and red. 1 color per deck.
Why use different colored backs?
If we use the same color, the 2 decks might get mixed.
You use different colors and they still got mixed up.
We use the red deck for the last game.
I see. But that's odd. For some reason, I have this impression that you were using the blue cards.
Yeah, me too. I'm sure someone said something about blue cards. Whatever. In the end, 1 card of the wrong color got into the mix. Which means there was cheating. Yes, a card slipped into the deck that would seem to indicate cheating. Yet, this card raises 2 serious questions. Apollo?
Yes?
Let's consider the first question, shall we? Think. In the last game, when was the card swapped?
When?
There are 3 broad possibilities here. It could have been swapped before the murder,
during the murder or after the murder?
Well, yeah, thanks for the news bulletin, Mr. Wright. Of course it was swapped. Oh.
It might be as simple as you think, Mr. Payne. Or it might not be.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear what Apollo thinks first. When do you think the cards were swapped? When was the card swapped into the deck? Oh, boy. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Wait, okay. Let's logistic this. Here's the thing. I don't think it could have happened any time during the actual card game, if you think about it. Yeah, no, there's no way it would have slipped into it during the game, because if you had a different type of card in your hand, your opponent can see it. So it's not like you can get away with something like that easy. I have to say, I think it must have been swapped out after the murder happened. Perhaps it happened after the murder?
What's that? Ridiculous! What's the point of cheating after the hand's already been shown? That's silly.
Yes, but tell me, how do you swap cards during the game? I'll take silly over impossible.
Take it from me, son. There's a lot of silly in this world, but very little impossible.
Oh, even when the backs of the cards are a different color? If you pulled that during the game, you'd be caught in no time. Oh, quite true. That would mean that the blue card in question was swapped after the hands were shown after the murder.
Okay, this is going past silly and straight on into crazy. I ask again, what's the point of cheating after the game's over? Who would do that?
Who indeed? That's one of the mysteries before us.
There's another?
Yes. A simple, yet decisive question must be asked. Who swapped the red card for a blue card? Who? The game and the murder is done. The victim is dead. Only two remain in the room, alive that is. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, and our witness, Olga Orley. Okay, so who was it that swapped the red card for blue? Well, okay, there's no real reason why Phoenix would have done that. It's someone else. I would have to say Olga would be the only person that would have even known that that card would have been swapped, because she's the card dealer in the first place. Why, it must have been Olga Orley who swapped the cards. She was trying to cover up evidence of the cheating.
That does make some sense.
Sorry, but there's a problem with that explanation. I don't like the fact that I'm being objected by basically myself in the past couple of games. Huh? Swap card was from the wrong deck.
Yes, a blue card was stuck into a red hand.
Mixing a card from the wrong deck when the backs are different colors? Remember that you're talking about Olga Orley. She was the dealer. Do you really think she would make such a novice mistake? Actually, I have trouble imagining even the judge making that mistake. Give it a little more thought, Apollo. Right? Okay, so who was it that swapped the red card for a blue? Well, the victim's dead, so he can't do it, and there are only two people in the room. There's only one other person I can think of, and I don't know why he would have done it. The one who swapped the card was... Mr. Wright! It was you, wasn't it? And why would I do such a thing? Well, because... maybe you were trying to hide the fact that you cheated?
That would make sense, but the swap card was in the victim's hand.
Oh... Sorry. I'm a nice guy, but I'm not that nice. Come to think of it, he would lack a motive for helping his opponent to win. Okay, so who was it that swapped the... Oh my god, are you... So who? Who could have fucking... I don't even know. The one who swapped the card... Okay, whatever. The one who swapped the cards wasn't Mr. Wright, of course. And, well, doesn't seem like it could have been Olga Orley either.
But what are you suggesting?
That's hardly a logical conclusion, I'll admit. As the defense, I think it only makes sense for you to name Miss Orley at this point.
Yes, I know. But she was the one who dealt the cards, right? I just can't believe she would make the mistake of swapping the wrong color card. And if the card was swapped during the game, it'd be obvious. Something you'd like to share with the court, Mr. Wright?
My apologies, Your Honor. I was just thinking how much fun all this is.
Jesus Christ, what? Fun? How about confusing? I've no idea what the defense is claiming, Your Honor. If the one who swapped the card wasn't the defendant, and it wasn't Miss Orley, then who was it?
Yeah, well, that is the question, isn't it?
Precisely.
Huh?
I believe we're about to see the case take a new direction.
A new direction?
We'll find that, indeed, after the murder, someone swapped one of the cards in the victim's hand. And that someone made two critical mistakes. I'm sure you're going to tell us the first was swapping the wrong color card, because the one who did the swap didn't know two colors of the cards were being used. The other mistake was the number of the card. On the card, rather.
Right. The person replaced the fifth ace with a king.
I'm sure whoever swapped it wasn't expecting there would be a fifth ace after all. All they knew was that the game had been won with a full house. So they picked up a king from the table and swapped it in.
But there's one problem. According to our case record, this person doesn't exist.
True. Not until now. We have to admit the possibility of a fourth person. Though it's more than a possibility. There was someone else there that night at the scene of the crime.
What?
Do tell. Who?
I believe the judge spoke truthfully earlier.
You do make trials ridiculous, Mr. Wright.
This trial has proceeded on one central assumption. Namely, that at the time of the incident, there were only 3 people at the room.
I believe this new evidence, shall we say, overturns that assumption?
The problem is that you chose to conceal this information from the court.
Meh. I suppose that is a problem, yes.
Court is adjourned for a brief recess. Mr. Gavin, I'll see you in my chambers during this recess.
Certainly, Your Honor.
Very well. The trial will resume in 20 minutes.
This is all kind of confusing. April 20th, 11:52 a.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 3. Well, that was quite unexpected, Mr. Wright. To suddenly claim there was another person at the scene of the crime like that. I must ask, is it the truth? Well, now, I think you would know the answer to that. Were you at the scene of the crime? Oh, being mysterious, are we? Sadly, I have no time for mysteries. I'd only ask that you leave the defending to your defense in the future. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee the outcome. I actually haven't mellowed out one bit, Christoph. Justice?
Yes, sir.
The judge has summoned me to his chambers, so carry on without me.
Yeah, I'm not ready.
You did well, Apollo. Can I ask you something?
Sure.
That locket you wear, is that really yours, Mr. Wright?
Oh, you're wondering about the victim's disappearing locket?
Here, you can take a look at it. There's a picture of my daughter in there.
Well, let's see.
Oh, yes. Hello, Hat Girl. I was wondering about this. Like, where does she come from all of a sudden? I'm surprised to hear you have a daughter. Most people are. Perhaps you'll meet her in one of these days. One more question. The one who cheated that night. Was it you? What do you think? Huh? You know what happened 7 years ago? What I did. It's not unreasonable for you to think I might cheat.
I never... Honest, but...
It is odd that he managed to go undefeated for 7 whole years. Want to know something? There's only one game where you can be dealt bad cards all night and still win. Poker. You see, poker is all about reading your opponent. In that way, it's a lot like a court case. Poker is like trial law. Figure out what your opponent is thinking, and you win. Well, yeah, but that's harder than it sounds. I think not. Try as they might to conceal it, everyone reveals their true thoughts in the end. The body language can become a valuable source of information. You're kidding. That witness, for instance, Miss Orley. Yes, she sort of did crumble there. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? No. Come on, who would notice that? Words, habits, twitches. It's all information for the reading. That's the secret to winning, Apollo. Someone taught me, and now I pass the secret on to you. But I'm not worthy. I mean, there's no way I'll pick up on these signals. No, you can do it. Huh? You just don't know it yet. What's he talking about? But you will. Soon. Oh, almost forgot. One more thing. About this case. You should know I haven't told the truth to anyone yet. What? I knew it! I have my reasons, of course. All shall be revealed. And Apollo, I need you to be there, defending me. I need your power. My, power? I had no idea my cords of steel were that smashed. It's not about your cords of steel, you buffoon. And it's time. Real trial begins now. Do your best. To be continued. Interesting. So, okay, Apollo's got some weird-ass power. I'm interested in seeing what that is. Let's go. April 20th, 12:14 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 2. Hello, Payne. Wait. Anyways.
Court will now reconvene. Has our witness, Miss Olga Orley, recovered?
Yes, Your Honor. She's regained consciousness.
Perhaps we can hear her version of the events again?
That's the thing. You see, she's quite fatigued.
You're looking a bit fatigued yourself, Mr. Payne.
Sadly, fatigue is insufficient grounds for refusing to testify or prosecute. The defense would like to request that Miss Orley take the stand.
Very well. The witness will take the stand.
Well, I'm sorry. Something tells me you aren't the one. Someone else has done this. Perhaps you could repeat your name and profession. Yeah. Or perhaps you'd rather admit that you're a poor liar and a poor loser.
Not.
Oh shit! What the fuck? Pirate! All right. I'm trying to think about what a pirate lady would sound like. That's the truth. I'm a pro. I'm trying to. Okay. All right. What the hell do I do in this case? So she's a pirate, gambler. She has a camera around her neck for whatever weird, stupid reason. I think I'm just going to keep the Russian accent for consistency's sake. Name's Olga Orley. That's the truth. I'm a pro dealer. People call me Olga Quick Fingers Orley.
Oh, really?
Want to know something else? I'm not really Russian, and my last name sounds like oh, damn it. Okay, so she's not Russian. What the fuck do I do? Oh, screw it. I'm all right. No more accents. Just saying it. There, that's the truth. I hope you're satisfied.
Witness, you will tell the court what you were really up to that night.
Fine, I'll talk. We had a plan, see?
Let me remind you that you are currently under oath. Any further fabrications will have serious consequences.
Fine. Like I said, I'm a pro. That guy Smith hired me to do what I do best. I was planted at the Borscht Bowl Club several days prior to the night of the game. As a waitress. So you were in cahoots with the victim?
Not that he needed my help. Smith is a well-known poker player in some circles. But winning wasn't the main purpose of the game. It was about destroying a legend, the unbeatable Phoenix Wright. The plan was simple, elegant, really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted trap and the card, and the trap would snap shut.
You swapped the cards! Yeah.
Exposed as a cheater and losing on top of it, it would have made a great double play. Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces.
Indeed. Getting caught red-handed at cheating would cast doubt on all his prior wins.
A 7-year legend destroyed by one little card. That was the plan.
Well, that backfired and murder happened, so I hope you feel sorry for yourself.
Oh, really, Orly? How droll. But it appears you made quite the mistake.
A mistake?
I agree the trap was elegant. Yet, what happened to that planted card?
Hey, that's right.
He's lucky. I'll give him that. You'd have to be to slip free from a trap laid by Olga Quickfingers Orly.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Yeah, really.
The witness would be much cuter if she dispensed with the evil mastermind stick.
Cute? Who wants to be cute? I'm not cute. I'm bad, you hear me? Bad!
When you're through being bad, perhaps you could testify to the court, hmm? Tell us about this trap and how it was sprung.
Well, let's see. A little bit more info on this stuff. That night I planted the card like I was supposed to, and Wright lost the last hand just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed. The next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it. It wasn't me who hit Smith. It was that no-good, cheating defendant.
Right. A surprisingly frank testimony that still leaves us mostly in the dark.
The trap was perfect, I tell you. Perfect! If that rotten cheater hadn't messed it up.
Look who's talking. Well, the testimony, from what it's worth, is all yours, Mr. Justice. With witnesses like her, who needs criminals? And with defendants like Mr. Wright, who needs prosecutors?
I mean, we will say that. Phoenix is very good at making sure that his ass is covered. Anyways. Let's go ahead and save. Return to the game. I like it. It's nice and smooth. That night I planted the card like I was supposed to.
Really? This planted card. Which card was it exactly?
The trump card. The 5 of hearts.
Let me guess. Mr. Wright's was to have switched the 5 with the ace to make a full house. At least, that's what you were going to accuse him of doing, thereby ruining his legend?
I slid it into Wright's pocket.
When was this?
Why, before the match, of course. While he was eating. At the Borscht Bowl Club, we serve borscht. And suckers.
Remind me never to go there.
It does sound like a sty. And funny enough, Phoenix found his way into that sty eventually, so yeah, that makes sense. Of course, the card was to make its grand debut during the game. Like a good borscht, a good plot must be cooked up early and allowed to thicken. And Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him.
So everything went according to plan?
Exactly. The 5th ace came up, so it's obvious the switch went off without a hitch. Once the extra card was found in his pocket, Wright would be forever known as a cheat and a fraud.
There are worse things to be known as, I suppose.
Tell us what happened with the search. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed.
And how? The card disappeared?
Yeah, my trump card, the 5 of hearts.
gone. Without a trace. Poof! Zippo! We searched every nook and cranny. Even inside his cute little hat. But the card was nowhere to be found, is this correct? Never in my long, storied career, never has Quick Fingers Orley been so readily duped.
Oh, really? So, what did happen to that 5 of hearts?
Don't look at me. Why don't you ask that cheating, lying, two-faced defendant?
And he's not gonna tell us because he's keeping his trap shut. Seriously, what are you...
So the 5 of hearts is still missing in action. The next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it.
Wait, isn't that a little odd?
What's odd? You searched Mr. Wright thoroughly and found nothing, which means he didn't cheat, which means he had no reason to strike the victim. Well, oh, why? Hand on neck. What was that just now? I sensed something.
Is something wrong, Mr. Justice?
No, nothing, Your Honor. What to do? Should I press her a little harder? Yeah.
Miss Orley, you're hiding something.
What are you talking about? Me, Quick Fingers Orley, hide some... I mean, you're Quick Fingers, so you're hiding stuff pretty well.
The defense will refrain from baseless accusations.
I have one question for the witness, then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. Is this true?
Of course it's true. I did see it, honestly. I saw it when Wright hit him.
Oh, of course. Yeah, right.
With my own eyes, I saw it.
What's this weird vibe I'm getting? That witness, for instance, Miss Orley. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Oh, wait. Yeah, right. Jason, the Phoenix Wright. Did you notice? Here. Touching her neck. Was it? Oh, God. I'm tripping balls. Okay.
What's going on? The sensation. It's coming into focus. There. That twitch. It's so clear. It's like I could perceive her habit like I couldn't before.
Weird. Perceive?
Gotcha.
That's enough proof for the court that there's a twitch habit?
Miss Orley, perhaps you're unaware of this yourself.
Unaware of what? Whenever you get to a certain part of your testimony, you touch the back of your neck with your left hand.
My neck? So what?
What indeed, Justice? I hadn't noticed anything of that sort. When she says that part of the testimony, she's subconsciously recalling something. Her body reacts to the memory, and she touches her neck. I'm sure of it.
A memory? Would someone care to explain what he's battling about?
This is highly unusual, but let's ask the defense. You claim the witness is remembering something. Maybe you have evidence of this memory to show us?
Her habit is scratching her neck whenever she talks about the moment of the crime. So what would remind her most of that moment of the crime? Miss Orley, whenever you recall the crime that night, you scratch your neck. I've noticed it happens when you think about the moment of the crime. There must be some reason behind this habit of yours. I believe the weapon that left an erasable impression on your neck... The weapon, eh? The weapon... Well... The only thing I can think that would be draped around somebody's neck would have to be the necklace. Right? And the necklace, the only place that there is a picture of the necklace is located in this picture. Ah, damn it, I can't save. So... I'm gonna try this. Take that! Sorry to disappoint, but I don't have any particular memories of that. Oh, that must not have been it.
Of course it's not. You want to have it, Mr. Justice? I'll show you a habit.
Stop flinging your hair. I better get this sorted out before I develop a habit of my own. Her habit is scratching her neck whenever she talks about the moment of the crime. Just in case I really royally screw this up again. Saves. What would remind her most of the moment of the crime? Okay, whenever you notice habits there, says, I believe the weapon left an irreversible impression on your neck is this. Well, the only weapon that we have available at this time is the deadly bottle. Yeah. Whenever she talks about the moment of the crime, she touches her neck. And what reminds us more of that moment than this bottle, the murder weapon? I'm confused, but something doesn't fit. If you were only the witness to the crime, why would that make you touch your neck like you're in pain?
What's he talking about now?
It was Mr. Smith, the victim, who was hit. Not you! I don't find any base in any of this. Like, you're not a psychologist.
This is a cross-examination, not a cross-wild conjecture. The witness's habits, they're completely irrelevant.
Justice, I'll admit I'm a bit confused myself. Hello, welcome to the club. There's cookies in the corner. This is certainly a unique cross-examination. I'll explain later. Just trust me. Now's our only chance to break her. Miss Orley, please testify in detail about the moment of the crime. The very moment.
Yet, I am doing nothing.
Please. We know you're not Russian. The witness will testify, please, now. Fine.
He's the one who did it. I didn't let him out of my sight until the cops got there.
Okay, well, let's see. Where was I before? Right. Let me see. Well, just because I've gone pretty far, let's go ahead and save. Here. The night I planted the card like I was supposed to. Wright lost his hands. Okay, searched him. Planted card was gone. Trap failed. Next moment, Wright picked up the bottle and swung it. And this is the next one. He's the one who did it. I didn't let him out of my sight until the cops got there. You seem uneasy.
You try sitting up here.
Her eyes are darting all over the place. I must be getting warm. Tell me, after the crime, what was the defendant like?
Well, he must have been stunned by the weight of his crime.
He sat in a daze at that table until the cops came. Intriguing. I believe you've got all the testimony you're going to get out of this witness. So what do you think about her testimony? I'll tell you what I think. Her testimony is flawed. It's basically bogus. It contradicts the evidence.
What's that?
Well, show us this evidence, Mr. Justice. This evidence that you claim contradicts the testimony. She didn't let him out of her sight until the cops got there. I know there's some evidence that contradicts that. Well, used by the defendant to notify the police from the restaurant's first floor. He moved out of the basement at the time. I feel like that would be a really good piece of evidence for that. Miss Orley, we have a record here that clearly contradicts what you said. It states that the police were alerted by a report from the defendant. And we know that the defendant left the room, climbed up the stairs, and made that phone call from the first floor of the Borscht Bowl Club. So, explain how you kept your eyes on the defendant when he left the room entirely. Yeah, there goes some lobster. Done screwed it. The man who picked up a bottle and swung it that night wasn't the defendant. It was... Oh, I see. Is that supposed to be a texture of cardstock, or... I think that's what it's supposed to be. Very cinematic. I'm liking this. They really amped it up for the later games. Showdown time. You dirty cheat! Check his pockets, now! It's gone. The card's gone. You lose. Oh, shit. Just then, Smith grabbed the bottle from next to right, and he hit me! How? Oh, the neck thing. Oh, gee, I understand now. Shit. Eek! But somehow he's there. When I came to, the victim was already dead. Is that it? That's why I couldn't reveal who I really was. If it came out that I was in league with Smith, I'd be a suspect for sure. Well, where does this leave us?
Madness! This is madness! I'm dreaming! It must have been me who was hit with a bottle, and I'm imagining all of this!
It appears our prosecution is at his wit's end, and frankly, I can't blame him. Mr. Gavin, what do you think about this turn of events? Mr. Gavin, sir, I believe that, as the defense in this case, we're compelled to call Miss Orley a big fat liar.
What?
3 were in that room the night of the murder: the defendant, victim, and her. And she has a motive. A motive? Her plot foiled, the witness got into an argument with her client, Mr. Smith, and the denounce of that argument was murder.
What? I didn't... I'm no killer! It's a trap! Someone's trying to frame me!
Why? What? What's that? What tangle web we weave when we practice to deceive? So tangled we catch ourselves in the process. Mr. Wright? Such a hasty conclusion. It's not like you, Christoph Gavin. What are you saying? Why not consider the other possibility? That there was another person in the room at the time of the murder. Right, like Mr. Wright was saying before the recess. A single card was swapped into the victim's hand after the murder. And the one who swapped the card didn't know 2 colors of cards were being used. A 4th person. Craziness.
This theory again! Your 4th person doesn't exist!
Indeed. That's why I decided to bring this case to court. Here, where there's no escape and no chance for deception. The perfect place to catch the real criminal. The real criminal? And we're in luck. A clue to the real criminal's identity was kindly provided for us. And right at the beginning of the trial, no less.
Well, what?
Apollo? Perhaps you know what I'm talking about. Sorry? Remember what I said. The 4th person who swapped the cards made one critical error. He or she wasn't considering the color of the backs of the cards. Right. But how could such an obvious mistake occur? Cards used for the last game were red. Yet there is one person here, in our court, who thought those cards were blue. Yeah, I had that impression too. But why? Well, Apollo, think you can figure out who it was?
It's not me, I swear!
I'm pretty sure it's not you. Who was this 4th person? It was you, Judge? No. Why do we always get put on the spot like this? Let's hear what the defense has to say. Who was it? A save. I feel like I'm going to be in a heap of trouble if I screw this up. Who thought the cards used in the final game were blue? Huh. I don't know. Also, it's fun how they're not allowing me to see any of the evidence. It's just these guys, so... You're good with cards. You're a professional swindler, so no. Who thought the cards used in the final game were blue? Who would know? Okay, so there's a fourth person, so clearly, the three people involved, it can't be. Because I'm pretty sure Winston Payne's not it. Why the hell? Why would he be there? But Phoenix was there, Shady was there, Olga was there, and we've determined that we're looking for a fourth person. But the only other person that's listed here is Kristoff. As I expected. Your eyes and ears are sharp as your hair. I was right! Kristoff, Gavin, you were the fourth person that night. But, of course Mr. Gavin knows the color of the cards! How would he? As you can see, the photo of the crime scene is black and white. You can't tell which of the cards are blue, the ones on the floor or the table. But look! You can see the colors in this photo. Yes, but when he said the cards were blue, it was well before this evidence came to light. Oh shit. It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim. It was only that, a game, in the purest sense. A competition, Your Honor.
A competition?
Yes, a test of wits. A silent clash of passion. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame, know its final outcome. You flamboyant bastard, you gave it away! Well, Kristoff? Mr. Gavin? Mr. Gavin! Is something the matter? No, nothing. Excuse me, it was just so... sudden. Right. You aren't seriously accusing me, are you? Oh, Kristoff? Even I'd never take a joke this far. Oh boy.
This has gone beyond ridiculous, beyond dumb. This is insanity. The defendant's accusing his own defense attorney of murder.
I assure you, I'm quite sane.
But what possible connection could Mr. Gavin had to the victim?
I wasn't aware that I had a connection to Mr. Smith either.
Yes, but Mr. Gavin and the victim have never even met.
Well, what if they have?
Huh?
There's a possibility, after all. They may have met that night, before the game started. What are you suggesting? Is this the truth Mr. Wright was staying silent about? Well, only one thing to do. Mr. Wright, the defense would like to request that you Don't object to that, you fuck. The defense would like to request no such thing. Mr. Gavin, testimonies must relate to the case. How could anything happening before the game of poker be related? I would say the events leading up to a murder are very relevant. I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Gavin. As I explained before, the defense believes that Miss Orley... Am I to assume you speak for Mr. Justice in this? He is the defense, not you. Mr. Justice, the matter of Mr. Wright's testimony is up to you. Okay. Gulp. Does the court, in your opinion, need to hear Mr. Wright's testimony? Abso-frickin-lutely. This was Mr. Wright's strategy. He was planning this all along, and I intend to see it through. The defense would like to request that Mr. Wright testify to the court. Et to justice. You'll betray me, your teacher. Sorry, Mr. Gavin. This isn't about loyalty. This is about the truth. Very well. The defendant, Mr. Wright, will take the stand, please. Boy, we have swerved a complete 180 degree, haven't we? I had a strange suspicions, like, I've heard that Apollo shows up in other games, and I don't know. I kind of felt like, Kristoff was sort of a chop and block character. Not 100%, though. Jeez. That evening, Kristoff and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left. When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead. Blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. That's when I made another phone call. The defense attorney, Gavin.
Yeah? What? Mr. Gavin, you were at the Borscht Bowl Club the night of the murder?
I dined with him rather frequently.
And he talked to the defense on the phone directly after the murder?
Quite against my will, I become involved in a murder. I thought I might be in need of a lawyer, so I called him. You were planning this all along, weren't you, right? Just because you wanted to drag me into your little murder trial. The only thing I want is the truth. As I did back then, and now. I thought my office was doing you a favor when we took on your defense. It appears that I was wrong.
Very well. The defense may cross-examine the witness.
I don't know. I hear these two talking, and I just feel like I'm... You know how, like, when you're 5 years old and the adults are talking back and forth, and you don't have any idea what the heck they're talking about? Just being like, I don't know. I'm completely out of the loop on this one. You're saying a lot of words, but none of them are going in. Justice. Sir. He's lying, and you're going to expose him. Understood, sir. Mr. Gavin versus Mr. Wright. This can't end well. Why can't I have a normal trial? Nope. This is what happens when you take on freaking Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Alright, so saving real quick. Oh, whoopsies. Here. It's fine. Save. Okay, that evening, Kristoff and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Hey, meh. Sure. You had dinner with Mr. Gavin? Yes. He dines with me at the Borscht Bowl Club quite frequently. We were enjoying a usual dinner at our usual spot. As usual. Usual? I always eat at the table closest to the piano.
I see. Where Mr. Smith was sitting.
So the plates and such on the table were from your dinner?
Indeed. The remnants of my meal with Kristoff. We dined for 2 hours, then Kristoff left. After that, Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left. Uh-huh. 5 minutes? So the two of them could have passed in the restaurant during that time? That would have been a fateful encounter, to be sure.
Oh, Mr. Wright. What was it you said? Kristoff Gavin and Shady Smith may have met.
I believe I did say that.
Here, I was all nervous about this meeting. And now we hear they just passed in the hall?
That does seem a little weak as a pretense for murder.
Oh, it would be, if it was all that really happened. Come on, Mr. Wright. What are you hiding this time? When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. About this failed trap. This is the same trap that Miss Olga Orley mentioned. The plan was simple, elegant, really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted card, and the trap would snap shut. That's the plan.
You swapped the cards!
Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces. Yes. A harmless prank, in essence. It was by a quirk of fate that I happened to discover it. Quirk? I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. The card she planted? Yes. I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card, before the game.
Disposed? Where?
There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle. That's probably gonna, that's gonna bend the card something fierce. Suppose he wouldn't really care about the condition of the card afterwards.
An empty bottle of grape juice?
The murder weapon?
Somebody check. Yes, I rolled it up and shoved it in. The colored glass makes it hard to see.
A battle of wits between the deceiver and the would-be deceived. Sounds like a terrific drama.
Yep. Hence why this Phoenix Wright game kind of exists.
A card inside the murder weapon?
That's strange. Did the police miss it in their investigation? Maybe I'll take a look.
Mr. Wright, the poker head of courtroom number 3 approves of this battle of wits. Please revise your testimony with this new information.
I discovered the trap during the game and disposed of the card in the bottle. Very interesting. Can I check it now? Yes, I can. Alright, so I can look in the bottle. See, I remember doing this for, the last round of Phoenix, or, maybe I can see it underneath. Can't really see it. No, not really. It's, like, very... Maybe I could, like, take the top off and look on the, like, the inside of it or something. Can't really see it here. Yeah, I remember this was one of my favorite, like, new mechanics that I saw in the updated Phoenix Wright stuff, with the Emma Sky and the SL9 incident. Let's examine this. The bottle is completely empty. What? Phoenix? Excuse me, sir. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I want to check this again. Label. Grape juice. How long has it been since I drank grape juice? Apparently it's Mr. Wright's favorite drink. Wonder how well it goes with borscht. It's his favorite drink. I think after a couple of these trials, you would need a drink. Glass is completely, weird. I discovered the trap during the game and disposed it in the bottle. I checked the bottle, sir. I don't see it. Mr. Wright, if I may. Yes? I've examined the bottle, and I don't see any card in here. No?
What, Mr. Wright? Surely ... isn't all you have to say for yourself.
I can't say that I know what happened to the card. I did put it in that bottle, however. Oh. Perhaps a 5th person came and took it out. Oh, and a 6th person could have helped. You asshole.
Mr. Gavin, Mr. Wright is your client.
My apologies, Your Honor.
So much petty. I won't have you disparaging our investigation either. We look inside the bottle. There was nothing.
So what's going on? Is Mr. Wright hoodwinking us again? Or did the card just disappear?
In any case, please continue the cross-examination. I'm afraid any decisive contradictions call for decisive evidence.
Oh, push him harder, Justice. Break him. It's just you and the witness in the ring. Go for the KO. Why do I get the feeling we're not on our client's side anymore? Alright, so there's that. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith... Okay, so I'm going to save here because I think that's noteworthy. This is very strange. Yep. Girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. Uncontrollable? So, wait. Uncontrollable stuck in the basement somehow? You made the call to the police from the first floor of the restaurant, correct? Exactly. Cell phones don't get a signal down in the hideout. Was anyone else on the first floor at the time? Not a soul. It was the middle of the night after all. So there, in the darkness, in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. It didn't seem right to leave the injured waitress alone. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. And when you returned, the victim was already dead. Yes. I'll admit, I was a little startled when I walked in. A little? He was bleeding from his forehead, after all. I guess I'd be startled, too, if I walked in on a scene like that. Phoenix has been around so many dead bodies at this point that, I feel like he's just numb to it. And that's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin. Could you explain why you called, Mr. Gavin? I'd obviously gotten involved in a rather sticky affair. And I figured Kristoff's law office would give me a friend rate for my defense fees. Glad to hear you intend to pay. Oh, I'll pay in full, Kristoff. It was I who got you involved, after all. You may find the price of your defense quite high, my good friend. Quite high. Is this the truth that Mr. Wright was talking about? Justice, you know what you have to do. He's lying. Expose him. Now. Yes, sir. I have to think. What's Mr. Wright trying to tell me with his testimony? The truth has to be in there somewhere. Yes. Kristoff and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. 5 minutes after Kristoff left, I discovered the trap during the game, disposed of the card in the bottle. Girl was knocked out cold. Smith was uncontrollable. Returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. That's when he made a phone call. Right, well, once again, out of complete terror of getting it wrong, I'm going to save. Well, let me think. I need to take a look at the evidence, because I think that's probably what's going to help me out here. I don't think there's going to be anything else involved with the cards, right? I don't imagine it would. Oh, hey, you can actually control it with the C-stick now. Oh, that's very convenient. Any way to zoom in easier, or did they not add that feature? Oh, maybe with the, Nope, not even with the nubble. Yeah, there's nothing to see aside from the fact that one of the cards is blue. So, I checked that. Maybe I could check Wright's cell phone somehow. Yes, I can do that. Interesting, okay. Here, zoom. There's it. What the fuck? Wait a minute. For God's sakes, this is not the most convenient thing to do here. What the heck is this? Wow, the battery's being held in with a piece of tape. He should just buy a new one. Maybe he can't afford it. Or he just doesn't care. Well, okay, so battery held in with a piece of tape. Had a thought. Anything else going down with this weird cell phone business? Doesn't look like it. It looks like it's just a piece of tape on the back of the phone. Nothing with the ports on the side. Nope. Okay. Well, alright, I'll note that, I suppose. I don't know if that's going to be useful. Attorney badge! I can check it for absolutely no reason. Oh, hello. What are you? There's a number inscribed on the back of the badge. There are many numbers like it, but this one's mine. Proof that I'm an attorney. To tell the truth, I got a happy feeling inside just looking at it. That will do it for that, I suppose. Why not? Well, I can check the actual things here. Oh, let me think. Sub-bit. Does this have something to do with the food, perhaps? Let's see. Kristoff and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Here. So, yeah, that's the food, all right. I'm having a... Like, we finally kind of reached a moment where I'm like, Any other pictures I should know about? Well, there's this. Let me see. Nothing of major interest here. There's the bottles of wine. Yeah, well, okay. Grape juice. Burp, burp. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Food's eaten. Makes sense. There's the piano. Okay. I don't really see anything weird and contradictory with anything with that. Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after her stuff left. Can I look at profiles? Nope, nope. All I have is the evidence. Discovered the trap during the game and disposed of the card in the bottle. We've shown that I really cannot find anything about that. Girl was knocked out cold. Smith was uncontrollable. When I returned, he was dead. Blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. I mean, that's true. When I returned, he was dead. Blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. Yes. I mean, again, let's just go back to the fact that if we look at the picture, oh, I don't freaking know. It still seems like too steep of an angle. Like he would be bleeding down his face if it were like bleeding heavily and protruding steps of whatever. That is indeed where he died, that's for sure. But he was wearing a hat, though. He was wearing a hat. When I returned, he was dead. Blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. But he has the hat on. I think I got it. Mr. Wright, if I may. Yes? Take a look at this photograph of the crime scene. See the victim here? He's wearing a hat. I wouldn't think you could see blood on his forehead. Good point. Ha ha ha. Justice. Next time you point out an inconsistency, put on a little more oomph into it. Oh, shut up. Mr. Wright, can you explain this to the court? I forgot to mention something. I was the one who put that hat on his head. You? You put the hat on the dead man's head? He wore it through our entire poker game. After calling the police when I returned to the scene, his head was in full blue. Shining bright, just like in this photograph. And? I picked his head up off the floor and put it on his head. Why did you do a thing like that? Well, okay. Think back to a whole lot of the trials we've done. We have disturbed evidence so often. Like, do you expect nothing less of Phoenix Wright? All I can say is, I'm sorry. But that's the only thing I touched at the crime scene. So, Miss Orley didn't see it? It being the victim's, his head? I think not. She was out cold. I believe I was the one who witnessed his head. Here we go again. Mr. Gavin? Pardon. It just seems that our client is determined to lie his way through this case. Hey, he's still our client, isn't he? I believe that's enough of that. Mr. Gavin. This witness's testimony is more like a travesty. It's riddled with lies. I'm beginning to see how you came to lose your attorney's badge 7 years ago. Well, you certainly have a unique way of treating your clients, Christoph. I never knew. I believe it was you who threw the first stone. Mr. Wright, if you intend to ever tell the truth about this case, it's now or never. Don't be misled. I haven't told a single lie here. Yeah. When I noticed the trap, I put the card in the bottle to dispose of it. And when I put the hat on the victim's head, let's just say I had a reason for doing that as well. A reason? That reason is right here. Your cell phone? That night, recall that I spoke with defense attorney Gavin after calling the police. Just in case, I recorded our conversation. Ooh! What's this? now that we're all here, I see no reason why I shouldn't play it back for the court. Kristoff, I seem to be in a bit of trouble. What's this? Game not going well? Something like that. That gentleman who challenged you, he turned out to be good. He turned out to be dead. Someone hit him, hard. You mean someone cracked that flawless bone china plate? It wasn't you, was it? Me? Please, the cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should have come to that. Bone china plate? A kind of porcelain. Very smooth and shiny. And not plate, but pate. I believe he was referring to a certain gentleman's balding forehead. The court appreciates the defendant's discretion in not indicating my forehead. Wait a second. Something's not right about that phone call. So, after Mr. Gavin ate dinner with you, he left the Borscht Bowl Club. Most certainly. Then how did he know? When did he see this bone china pate? Pate or whatever. Oh, that's right! Yes. That was when I began to see my good friend in a different light. Troubled, I returned to the crime scene. And when I spotted Mr. Smith's head again, I realized exactly what was wrong. Well, Mr. Gavin, the stage has been set. Perhaps you'd like to explain this to the court? Exactly how did you come by your privileged knowledge of the victim's head? So, this is your reason? The reason why you put the victim's hat back on? Your point, Mr. Gavin? It's come down to this, has it? Phoenix Wright. Order! I will have order! Mr. Payne!
Yes, Your Honor? I don't know. I'm just standing here. I'm confused. I don't know what's going on.
I believe this court has been left with no other choice. Are you prepared to hear Defense Attorney Gavin's testimony?
Well, as the prosecutor,
Very well! We'll break for 10 minutes. After which Mr. Gavin will take the stand for a cross-examination. Are we all clear on that? Crystal clear, Your Honor. Very well. This will be the final recess for the day. Boy, what twists and ridiculous turns are happening in this freaking game. District Court Defendant Lobby number 3. This is going to be awkward. Mr. Gavin and Mr. Wright are both in the judge's chamber. Who'd have thought today would turn out like this? AI? Oh, hello! Again, hat girl, but... No, what?
hello, sir. Please, pick a card.
What's all this about? Is this one okay?
Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You need a trump card to make it.
A trump card?
The card you have chosen is magical. Use it wisely, and the game is yours. That's all.
Cool. An ace. Where do I remember that card from? Yeah.
Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces, and Mr. Wright's 2.
It is 5 aces in all, man.
It is true. I have seen it.
The 5th ace. Oh my god, that... So wait. You're telling me all 4 of the aces did show up? Oh my god. So that was a lucky freaking shot to have all of those aces show up. Or, actually, no. No. Sorry. My brain's catching up on me with all of the evidence. This all makes sense then. There was cheating, I swear to you. The missing 5th ace? Wait, this blotch of red. Is this blood?
You have your trump card. Now it's up to you to cut to the deck and draw the truth. My father's fate is in your hands. I know you can do it.
What? This bloodstained card is my trump card for finding the truth? Oh, God. I fell deep into thoughts as my mind raced to understand what all this meant. That girl. I'd seen her recently, but
Where? And that's when I made the connection. Yeah, herpty-dur. I don't remember. Also, why is it that Phoenix Wright's freaking daughter, like, what's with the getup? That's what I want to know. It's like, why do you work at the circus? I'm just trying to figure that shit out. April 20th, 2:45 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 2. Court will now reconvene. Defense Attorney Christoph Gavin, will you please take the stand? Let's take you down, you bastard. Now then, if you would, Mr. Payne.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, the witness state his name and occupation.
Is this farce necessary, Your Honor? You know how this works. Believe me, far stranger things have gone on in this courtroom. Yes, clowns. Many, many clowns. Fine, I'll play along. First, there's one thing we need to have made clear. How did you know about the secret beneath the victim's hat? By secret, I'm guessing he means the fact that Mr. Smith was bald. Forgive my curiosity, but what is it about this fellow's head? Your Honor seems to have an inordinate interest in it. What? Phoenix? Phoenix? Ah, thank you, sir. Hi, how you doing? I wouldn't call it inordinate, Mr. Gavin. Yes! Mr. Wright! What do you think you're doing, Wright? Well, things sure look different from the other side. You know what I mean, Apollo? Speaking of looking for the other side, let's consider something for a second. The victim wore that hat all night, never once taking it off, except for that one time. That one time being the instant he was hit. Whoa! Mr. Wright returned from reporting the crime. The hat was lying on the floor. Mr. Wright picked it up and placed it on the victim's head. In other words, in order to have seen Mr. Smith's bald head, you would have to have been at the scene of the crime at the time of the crime. In other words, you'd have to be the real killer. Is that what you're trying to say? Mm-hmm. Not bad, Apollo. Thumbs up. Mr. Gavin? I'm afraid that I haven't been entirely honest with the court. What? Oh, I assure you, I had the noblest of intentions. I did it all to protect my client, Mr. Wright. Did there? Yeah, I'm afraid in the current situation, I see little reason to hide anything. Very well. Allow me to tell you the truth of what happened that night. Finally! You may begin your testimony. Jesus! I need to get home and watch my soaps. Tell us, how were you involved in the events of that fateful night? I don't know. I think this is a pretty good soap. The rage I sensed in that man that night troubled me, so I returned to the club. I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window to the hideout. It's not hideout. It must have been right after the murder took place. The victim was dead, as he appeared in the photo. A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Wright, holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed that was not the best place for me to be at the time, so I left. That's when the call came from Wright. Nice cover, asshole.
So, you witnessed the murder?
For better or worse, I missed the actual moment of the deed. Mr. Gavin, may I remind you that you are on Mr. Wright's defense team. Your testimony is clearly disadvantageous to your client. Well, you even said it yourself. He's not really he's not really his client. What else could I say? I'm standing on the witness stand after all. So you are, Mr. Gavin. And you had to testify as you just did. You had to tell them you saw the scene of the crime through that little window. Mr. Wright. You had to say that. Because that was the only probable window of opportunity. Right, Apollo? Oh. Mr. Wright, the defense should do the cross-examination, not the defendant. Mr. Justice, are you prepared? Yes, Your Honor. I can't believe I'm going up against Mr. Gavin. This trial is getting weirder and weirder. That fateful night. Anywho, so I'm gonna go ahead and save. Boink. This has been interesting so far. Can't wait to crush this guy underneath my boot. The rage I sensed in the man that night troubled me. What kind of rage are we talking? That man. You mean Mr. Smith? He was different from the other customers. His aura, shall we say. I knew he was a serious poker player, but it was more than that.
So then, you knew the true nature of your client's job?
Of course. But I also knew he wasn't engaged in gambling, which would be illegal. Well, it makes sense that he'd know. They were friends, after all. Word from my friend, I returned to the club. You see, I feared this Mr. Smith might be someone coming to settle an old score.
I see. What happened then?
I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window to the hideout. The little window? You mean the one used to keep watch up the stairs? Yes, a relic of the ancient past. The black marketeers used it, I believe. Interesting. So you're saying that you saw what had happened through that little window. I'm sure that's going to come into play in some capacity. Why did you go through the trouble of peeking in through the window? Wouldn't it have been easier to just open the door and go into the room? I didn't want to upset Wright, you see. Upset Mr. Wright? Yes, what if my fears had been unfounded? I'd be walking in on their match. Bad form, to say the least. So far, everything he's saying makes sense. It must have been right after the murder took place.
How do you know it was right after the murder?
Really, no need to shout, Justice. I was just getting to that part in my testimony. Ah, there he is, the coolest defense in the West we know and love. Even when you're standing up there on the witness stand, some things never change. I was afraid you'd change too, right? But you haven't. You and that overbearing personality of yours.
Friends like these, who needs enemies?
The victim was dead, as he appears in the photo.
By photo, you mean the second photograph of the crime scene?
Precisely. You see, he wasn't wearing his hat then. I saw his head when he was dead. And then Mr. Wright came along and replaced his hat.
Can you describe the scene of the crime for us?
A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Wright holding a bottle in his hand.
That sounds weird. Those were the only three at the... Okay, those are the only three at the scene of the crime, right?
Yes, as far as I saw, at least.
Then we're back where we started. The killer was the defendant, Phoenix Wright. Who else could it have been? But why didn't you talk to the police?
2 reasons. First, I didn't actually witness the very moment of the crime. Second, my office was asked to defend Wright. Even after seeing what I'd seen, I couldn't abandon my friend.
Really? There must have been someone else there at the moment of the crime.
Justice, I just said I saw no one, not a soul.
But that goes against what Mr. Wright said.
Ah, yes, this mysterious 4th person. Who would conveniently be the real killer, I suppose.
Glad to see we agree, Mr. Gavin.
Let me pose a question, then. Tell me, what possible reason did the real killer have to swap cards in the victim's hand? Perhaps you could show us a reason why such a thing would be necessary?
How can I show something I can't find myself? Remember, Apollo, the card that was swapped out was the 5th ace.
The 5th ace, right.
Well, Mr. Justice, received from a mysterious girl. Could this be the missing 5th ace? I need to check this real quick.
A single drop of blood marks the front of the card.
And if we look at the back side of it, it is a red card. Okay. So it absolutely fits with the actual... Well, okay, here, let me think. This absolutely does fit with
That would line up perfectly. All right. I know what it means when the judge says, "Well, Mr. Wright, Mr. Justice, Mr. Payne, Mr. Edgeworth, Miss Von Karma." Oh, whoopsies. Yeah. Mr. Chasikoff. "Well, Mr. Justice, the question of why the killer would swap out a card has been raised. Can you point to a reason?" It's now or never. The defense would like to present evidence to the court. Evidence showing the reason why a card was swapped out. Then go ahead and point out your reason, Mr. Justice. Why did the killer take the 5th ace? The blood. My reason is, this.
Is that an ace?
Why, it's got blood on it! Right next to the spade! What?
This is insane! Why wasn't I told about this? Why?
Could this be the missing 5th ace? Yep. It's conceivable. How could you? What are you doing with that card? Well, that's the thing. Why is Mr. Gavin so upset? It's just a fishy card from some fishy girl. Oh, that card? It's mine. That is, I picked it up at the Borscht Bowl Club that night after the murder had occurred. I gave it to my daughter. Cards are her stock and trade, after all. No. Impossible. Unacceptable. The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud! A fraud? How can you be so sure? What? I would think the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene. The real killer. Allow me to elaborate. What if this trace of blood was the reason? The reason for the killer to take the card from the scene of the crime? Where are you going with this? Take another look at the photo and the victim's head. At the moment of the crime, his hat fell to the floor, and a trickle of blood ran from his forehead down to the back of his head. Couldn't a drop of that blood have fallen on one of the cards? I suppose. The killer then took the card to hide the blood. Regardless, that evidence is non-permissible. Oh? Right? Regardless of how you wasted your last 7 years, you used to be a lawyer. You know what a serious crime it is to conceal evidence. Oh, we can discuss the finer points of our legal system later. What's important now is that I've answered your question. What are you talking about? You wanted to know why the killer would have taken a card from this crime scene. And now, I've told you. That one drop of blood would have been decisive evidence, you see. This is baseless conjecture. Baseless! Yes. Oh, I assure you, it's quite based. What? It's amazing, really, how a single drop of blood on a single card can lead us to the truth. It's quite simple. Well, Apollo? Yes? Try picturing the scene of the crime. In your head. Ooh, that's pretty looking. Oh, the entire room's 3D. That's neat. Showing off them DS skills. You know, the DS power. The murder took place in the hideout. The body of the luckless victim was found at the poker table. And before the killer swapped a card out, there was a single card with a drop of blood on it in the victim's hand. Given this, there's one decisive problem with this scene. Well, what is it? Let's keep it simple, shall we? Given there was a drop of blood on the card, whose position in this diagram doesn't fit? The victims, the killers, the witnesses, the second witnesses. Whose position doesn't fit with the bloody card? You know, I was thinking about this. Whose position doesn't fit with the bloody card? Yeah, you know, it would have to be the victim, considering the blood. How did the blood manage to get onto one of Phoenix's cards? Well, isn't it the victim's position that's the problem?
I don't follow your logic here, Mr. Justice.
Well, look, the victim was struck on the head, sending him back in his chair. You'd think any blood would fall behind the body, not onto the table in front of him.
Ah!
Take a look at the photo again. If he bled in this position, the blood would fall on the floor, not on the cards.
Why, that's right. So, what does this mean?
I was yeah. Absolutely on board with that, I think. Incidentally, we were sitting in swivel chairs.
Swivel chairs? Oh, man.
Apollo, try turning the chair around.
Ooh.
Neat.
The chair was facing the other way?
It would have to be. So, we have to assume that, okay, the victim's chair was facing away from the table.
When Mr. Wright returned from informing the police, which way was the chair facing?
When I came back to the room, the body was facing as seen in this photo. That would mean the killer turned the chair back around. Let's take the next step. Look at the diagram once more. We know now the victim was facing away from the table at the time of the murder. But this creates another significant contradiction.
Again?
Let's test your reasoning skills again, shall we? Apollo, whose location on this diagram contradicts our new understanding of the crime? The victims, the killers, the witnesses, the second witnesses. Okay, so in what way does this contradict, I wonder? So the victims contradicts the card, and now that the victim's position contradicts that, I mean, it would contradict the killer, considering the fact that the killer would have to hit him the opposite direction, right? The victim was struck from the front, correct? Indeed. Well, wouldn't it be hard for the killer to hit him from the front? Sitting where his indicator currently is? I would think it'd be quite hard, yes?
Yes, but what you're saying makes no sense. Why would the victim suddenly turn to face the wall in the middle of the game?
I believe a sufficient reason will soon come to light.
What?
There's something in this diagram that makes far less sense, actually. Look again at the diagram. Apollo, if the victim was struck while he was sitting, as shown here, where would his assailant be standing? Try marking it on the diagram. But there's no room to put a mark where the killer should be. Don't worry, let's think it through and see where we find. We know the victim was facing towards the wall at the time of the crime. It's the only thing we know for sure. Try to forget about everything else. Where would the killer have to be standing to strike our victim from the front? Well, considering that, I mean, he would have to be standing, like, to the side of him in some capacity, right? And this is blocked. I must say here. Well, I guess the killer would have to be here.
Anything to say, Mr. Justice?
Sorry?
A little late for that, I'm afraid. Penalty.
Damn. Come on, give me a little hint. Try not to overthink things, Apollo. What does your instinct tell you? We know the victim was facing towards the wall at the time of the crime. That's the only thing we know for sure. Try to forget about everything else. Where would the killer have to be standing to strike our victim from the front? I mean, where would the killer have to... The killer would have to be standing here, though. Oh, whoopsies. But it's impossible, right? Here!
You get points for flair, but that's about all you get. I thought I was onto something there, too. I hardly need to point out that standing there would be impossible. The victim is facing a solid cupboard. Or are you claiming the killer climbed the cupboard and hit him from above? Huh?
It's simple logic, really. If this was the only place the killer could have been standing, then that means that at the very moment of the crime... Wait, I know! At the moment of the crime, the cupboard wasn't there! Watch this now! I mean, that's the only explanation, right, Mr. Gavin?
Mm-hmm.
Talk, you son of a bitch. Your Honor, I have a suggestion for the defense. We should arrange to examine the cupboard in the hideout immediately. Bailiff, send a team to the crime scene immediately. Have them try to move the cupboard. Your Honor. What? There's one more thing your men should look for. Please give this to the bailiff. Yes, I see. You do belong in the courtroom after all, Mr. Wright. I do my best. Well, how long is this going to take? We're all just going to be sitting here twiddling our thumbs. But let's forge ahead. Okay, cool. We are forging ahead. Look at the diagram once again. It's been changed. If the killer was standing here at the time of the crime, then this cupboard wasn't here, which means... Apollo, try moving the cupboard. Against the window. Huh. Thank you. As you can see, the cupboard was the problem. At the time of the murder, it had to have been as shown here. How did he get into that tiny little nook, though? Now everything is in place to reconstruct the moment of the crime. Oh my! What's this? What is it now? Look at the diagram of the crime scene once more. It appears we've found yet another contradiction. What I believe to be the final contradiction, in fact. Oh, dang! Notice something, Apollo? Our line of deduction is rapidly approaching its logical conclusion. I don't know, this seems like a whole lot of explanations that are just covering up a lot of shit, but whatever, you're probably the good guy in all this. Now then, Mr. Justice, please point to the new contradicting indicator. Is it the victim, the killer, the witness, the second witness? Which indicator in this diagram contradicts what we know about the crime? It would have to be... Witness 2. About this cupboard. Are we all okay with assuming it was moved? Sure, why not? Well, if it was, something really doesn't fit. The cupboard would completely cover the window to the stairs. That's right. Someone standing outside wouldn't be able to see in. Someone like Mr. Gavin. What did you say? Oh, is the coolest defense in the West losing his cool? Don't expose me to... Don't expect me to play along with your little game, right? It's only a game until someone gets killed, Mr. Gavin. And someone was, while the window to that room was blocked by a cupboard. So, Mr. Gavin, perhaps you'd like to explain to the court exactly where did you witness the crime scene from? Excuse me, Your Honor. Order. This is a court of law, and I will have... Listen to the bailiff, dude. We just now received word from the investigative team at the Borscht Bowl Club. They examined the cupboard in the hideout, Your Honor. No? And what did they find? Well, Your Honor, it turns out there's a secret passage behind it. What? Okay, that's weird. That explains that. Like, where the hell... I was just saying, being like, how did the dude end up in that little cubby anyways? Ah, yes, I believe I mentioned something of the sort before. This is one of the tricks to the room many of our regulars know about. I do remember him saying something about that, now that he mentions it. A secret passage is a handy thing to have when you're engaged in illegal goings-on. Never know when you might need to duck away from the eyes of the law. So the room has a secret passage? Where does it go? The other side connects to the restaurant above. The underworld bosses could get away from the cops and enjoy a cold bowl of borscht, no doubt. Just like our killer. Please tell me that's enough to cap this one off for good. Come on, freak out. You see where our line of simple deductive reasoning has led us, Apollo? Simple, deductive. Not simple, I guess I'll give you deductive. I see it, but I don't believe it. That girl wasn't kidding when she said I needed this trump card for the last hand. At the time of the murder, the window was blocked, and the victim's hat was only off his head for the few minutes between Mr. Smith's murder and Mr. Wright's return from calling the cops. In other words, the only place anyone could have seen the victim's bald head was from inside the hideout. Well, Mr. Gavin, come on, say something. Dare I ask what really happened that night? Actually, I think we can probably figure it out ourselves at this point. That night, for whatever reason, our killer had a date with Mr. Smith, a date with destiny. There he crouched, hidden in the secret passageway behind the cupboard, holding his breath, waiting for just the right moment. Then the chance came, and he took it. Yeah! Yeah! Wait, why'd you do that? Wait, here, I'll get help. Miss Olga Orley was out cold, struck by Mr. Smith. But as time was soon to come, Mr. Wright went upstairs to call the cops, leaving Mr. Shady Smith alone in the hideout with the unconscious dealer. Then our killer stepped out from the secret passage and into the hideout. The victim must have heard the cupboard sliding aside. He watched his chair. He wheeled his chair around, and after the deed was done, the criminal must have seen the blood on the card. He would have, of course, realized the need to destroy the evidence. That single spot of blood told the whole story of the crime. Too bad for him, he didn't linger any longer in the hideout that night. If he did, he might have noticed the card on the floor. And the fact that they were all red. Can you finally break, you asshole? My reaction to this being Phoenix was... What in the I mean, I know that Phoenix likes to wear a lot of froofy, colorful clothes, but this? Well, it seems this trial has taken yet another turn. I'm truly, truly sorry I had to see this day come, Mr. Gavin. Mr. Gavin! Mr. Payne!
Yes, Your Honor.
The prosecution will continue its investigation. As for Mr. Phoenix Wright, the defendant, he is hereby cleared of all suspicion. Yes. Believe me when I say that I don't believe this is happening, Mr. Gavin, but I'm afraid circumstances call for me to issue a warrant for your arrest immediately. Of course not. Finally, he's breaking. Oh, no need to apologize. I rather enjoyed myself. It's not every day you get to witness a legendary attorney's dirt tactics firsthand. Your point, Mr. Gavin? Frankly, Your Honor, I'm shocked that a person of your caliber would be taken in by such a low-grade parlor trick. Excuse me? The defendant is cleared of all suspicion. Oh, you have another twist. Oh, this bastard. Oh, you took a nap? Hey, that's fine. Again, there are VODs, and then there's also uploads later, so he's good. This is hardly the time for jokes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright hasn't proven anyone's guilt or innocence here. What he has done is use illegal evidence to put the blame on someone else. And not just anyone else. Me, his own defense attorney. Illegal evidence? Let me ask you, Mr. Gavin. Is there still any reason at present to suspect me of wrongdoing? Of course. This bottle, for instance. Oh, the frickin' fingerprints. The bottle of grape juice Mr. Wright was drinking? How do you intend to explain away the fingerprints on the murder weapon? And not just any fingerprints. Am I right, Mr. Payne?
Actually, yes. The
The fingerprints on the bottle were upside down. I seem to recall this being an issue earlier. So yeah, how do we explain that? The court in this case demand an explanation. I can think of only one reason why one would hold a bottle upside down. And that is to hit someone with the bottle, the bottom of the bottle. Well, Your Honor, I've held bottles upside down before, out of boredom. See how the caught fish squirms to the last. Well, Apollo? Yes? Your boss seems awfully concerned about this bottle still. But I'm sure he can come up with a suitable explanation. Just like that. Yeah. Just like what? Why would anyone grab a bottle upside down other than to... Don't let him trick you into thinking his explanation is the only legitimate one. Is there really another? Take another look at the court record. I believe you'll find a simple answer there, in plain sight. Grape juice bottle used as a murder weapon. Mr. Wright's prints are on it upside down. Okay. First of all. Alright, I have an idea of what was the way. Because if he did hide... Alright, so... Received from a mysterious girl. Could this be the missing fifth ace? So this was supposedly hidden in the bottle at one point? But then the bottle was tipped upside down to get rid of it. So, is that it? I think this is actually trump card number 2. BTW. Grape juice isn't a translation change. It's grape juice in Japanese. Oh, I'm just going to call wine. Because frankly, I've seen... Look, I'm reminded of... frickin'... Oh, jeez. Earthbound. Or, the Mother series where they've had bars and they've had to swap it over to milk bars. But, yeah. I don't know. It's like an anti-inside joke, almost. But, yeah, I guess it's an inside joke. So, yeah, the only thing I could think is the proof would be the bloody ace if you wanted to get rid of it. Or if you wanted to tip it upside down. That's my first thought. How about you just say the answer in plain words? No, because it wouldn't be a game and it wouldn't be fun. It would be hasty to deliver a verdict with unanswered questions, indeed. Well, Mr. Justice. Mr. Gavin said that the court and the case demand an explanation. Don't worry, justice won't leave until justice is done. Perhaps the defense would care to enlighten the court. Not before saving! Because I'm not sure myself. You think a T-rated game with murder couldn't use alcohol? The more things that... I mean, I think the thing that really drives up the rating of a game comes down to how much is in a game. And if you piled on alcohol along with it, they might start thinking, all right, let's ramp this up to an M. So, hey, that actually might be an in-joke by necessity, almost. What evidence do you have to explain why the fingerprints on the bottle are upside down? Well, the only reason I could think of turning that thing upside down is to get a hold of this. Now seems like the perfect time for a penalty. Yeah, God. Dual Destinies is M because of one's... Oh, wow. That'll be fun to see, I guess. What do they expect? I have no idea how to explain it. You're thinking too hard, Apollo. The answer's right in front of you. Just reach down and pick it up. Or try picturing situations in which one might grab a bottle upside down. Perhaps the defense will... Okay. I feel like I'm nearing the end of the trial, so that's helpful. Okay, why... Alright, I'm going to try and imagine this myself. Actually, I'm going to use my water bottle just as sort of a reference. Why would someone pick up a bottle upside down? In reference to what? Okay, so... Mirror. I have it. Bells are not going off just yet. Okay, well, alright. The other thing I was possibly thinking about was this. Perhaps someone picked it up upside down,
from the box. That was my thought, because I've seen a few people like reach down and pick up a bottle from a box from like. Yeah, I can see that. It's actually easier to show than you think. All right, yes. Figured it out. I was thinking about that a little bit earlier. Place that bottle on the floor next to your chair. Excuse me? On the floor? Yes. Now, reach down and pick it up. Without getting out of your chair. See? You naturally go to pick the bottle by its neck. With your fingers upside down! Look at this photograph taken on the night of the murder. The defendant, Mr. Wright, sat here, playing piano, bottles of grape juice on the floor to the side of his piano bench. He would have naturally picked up the bottles upside down several times.
Wow! I can't believe it was that simple.
Trying to find reaction to Wright having a daughter. It's there. There's a point where they're having a discussion about it being like, you know, when they're discussing the fact that it's a picture of daughter inside the locket. That's the moment where I'm like, how much time has passed by? And how did you have to... I mean, okay, it's been at least 7 years. But you probably... And then I guess it's a little bit more than that, considering that she's not 7. It's there, trust me. Recall our dinner that evening, Christoph. I was drinking my usual juice then, too. Basically, you used the bottle on the table to do the deed. But then you must have remembered. So you went and picked up one of the bottles from under the piano. And you switched the bottles. You took one of Mr. Wright's bottles and made it look like the murder weapon. Ah, clever. You can see by Phoenix and Payne's age, it's been 7. Yeah, I know it's been at least 7. I didn't know if it was more or less. Also, what was... I'm trying to think of like what the case would have been that would have kicked him out of being a defense attorney. Like that must have happened off screen at one point.
Order, order, order! What do you have to say for these charges, Mr. Gavin?
Fascinating. So this is the legendary attorney's famed tactic of misdirection.
Shut the hell up!
What? You claim that I switched the bottle. Where's your proof?
Proof?
That's, As I thought, more baseless conjecture. I'm afraid your bottle of proof is quite empty. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Your Honor, when you initiated the investigation of the hideout earlier, do you recall I requested an Oh, you smart bastard.
Yes. I have your memo about that here. Retrieve the bottles from under the piano at the Borscht Bowl Club. You have the worst handwriting, Mr. Wright. And here's one of the bottles in question.
What are you going to dust that for Prince too? I wouldn't be surprised if any were on that, but his... Mr. Gavin probably wouldn't make such a novice mistake true. That bottle won't bear any trace of anything. Say, Apollo.
Yes?
Why don't you go ahead and examine that bottle?
But why?
Just humor me. Mr. Wright, that bottle will solve this case once and for all.
What? That's some bottle!
Okay, well, let's check. Also, I do like the fact that this is now tied into the mouse wheel as opposed to the touchscreen. Like, it was functional back in the DS days, but absolutely not.
What the hell? There it is!
There's something inside the bottle. Yeah, I crumpled it up.
What's this? That card. It can't be.
Recall the unpleasant woman's testimony for a moment. Miss Olga Orley? Yes, our little swindling Devochka. That night I planted the card like I was supposed to. And Wright lost the last hand just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed.
Wait, this isn't...
You're telling me this is the planted card you disposed of? The one you mentioned in this piece of testimony? I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game.
Disposed? Where?
There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle. God, Phoenix, one step ahead of everything. The 5 of hearts. This is the card. The bottles were swapped. And the only one who could have done that was the 4th person in the club that night. You, Mr. Christoph Gavin! Oh, yay. Is he about to take off like a rocket? Oh, wow. Hey, there's the borscht.
Oh, dear.
Yuck, yuck. That is all. Well, this is some good drama.
Is this your idea of revenge, Phoenix Wright?
Revenge?
Revenge for the events that took away your attorney's badge 7 years ago?
Kinda. My past is like my logic. Straight and true. Nothing's changed. All I did was point the finger of justice in the proper direction.
Fine.
I'm glad we could have this little, oh god, what is that? It's probably something obvious. Tete-a-tete, that's right.
This is insane! What about me? Don't I get to prosecute anyone?
Te-a-te is how it's pronounced, thank you.
I believe this time we've finally come to the end of our trial. Mr. Payne, do you have a report for us on Christoph Gavin?
He's admitted everything. We're processing his arrest now.
I see. Still, one has to wonder why he would do such a thing. He didn't even have a connection to the victim, did he?
None that we know of.
Mr. Wright, have you anything to add?
Still smart. I'm afraid I can't shed any more light on this matter.
About the victim, Mr. Shady Smith. His occupation was listed as traveler. An odd profession to be sure, and that's all we know about him.
I'll arrange a follow-up investigation, Your Honor.
Good. Mr. Wright?
Yes?
7 years, and you still haven't lost your touch.
Christoph Gavin was a man with much significance for me, both as a friend and a lawyer.
He was extremely talented, to be sure.
I needed 2 things before I could confront him. The first was a place where no injustice could be tolerated, this courtroom. The second was a man who would tolerate no injustice. In other words, a defense attorney. You, Apollo.
Me?
This is a dark time for our legal system. The twisting of justice brought on by our very own initial trial system. We have to set it right. Mr. Wright. Our work lies ahead of us, and I, for one, am looking forward to it.
Well, this seems like a good time to announce the verdict. This court finds the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright, not guilty. Hoopity floop. Court is adjourned.
Yes, yes. I, for one, welcome our lawyer overlords. April 20th, 4:28 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 3. Thanks, Apollo. You came through, just like I thought you would. Good. Now, can you go shave? Something about you with stubble just turns me off. I'm pretty sure I didn't do a thing in there. It was you who cornered Mr. Gav, the killer. I couldn't have done it by myself. You sensed it too, today. Didn't you? Your ability? Ability? Yeah, about this ability. How do you know about that? Yes, a sensitivity I lack. You'll come to understand it soon enough. Wait, I wonder if he means... I have one question for the witness, then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. Is this true?
Of course it's true.
What's this weird vibe I'm getting? Superpowers. What was that, Mr. Wright?
You'll have to find the answer to... Oh my god. Stop teasing me, please.
The answer...
Right. No, not right. Wrong.
Whatever. It'll be revealed eventually, I'm sure. Today was full of questions without answers. Most of them about Mr. Gavin.
Yeah, I love smug Phoenix. I don't know. I'm not sure if I like it. I like meek, whiny Phoenix a little bit more than that. What possible reason could he have to commit murder? Perhaps you'll learn that in the days to come.
Huh? Wait, you don't know, do you?
This locket is the key.
Huh? Oh, that reminds me. I met the girl whose picture is in your locket.
Yep. That lady. Daughter.
Your daughter, right?
That's right. She's my daughter.
Who's the mother?
That's what's freaking me. I'm trying to figure this stuff out.
You know, you were right about this locket.
Yeah. I took this off the neck the night he died. But it looks like our dear Russian scam artist saw me. So the truth is, this locket really did belong to him.
Wait! But that's perjury! You testified! You said that locket was yours!
I said no such thing, actually.
Huh?
I merely said that it was a locket with my daughter's picture inside. A subtle distinction, but a distinction nonetheless. And it's the truth. Ah, you clever bastard. This is reminding me of, like... Oddly enough, this reminds me of Liar, Liar. You know that movie? Where, like, Jim Carrey is actually in a courtroom, and he's just trying to find technically, ways to be technically correct without actually getting his client guilty.
Wait, but then, why? Why was the victim wearing a locket with a picture of your daughter inside it?
Sometimes the straightest path to the truth isn't the best one. Give it time. You're still just getting started with your career. Speaking of which, I may be out of a job. I work for Gavin Law Offices after all. I still can't believe I just saw Mr. Gavin get led away in handcuffs. Yeah. I one day aspire to see my own boss get toted away by the police, kicking and screaming.
Apollo.
Yes? How about coming to work with me? For me, rather.
You mean at the Wright & Co. law offices? I mean, there's not a single attorney in my generation that doesn't know it.
I can't imagine that to be true, but...
Wait, but didn't you... You're not a...
Oh, I turned in my badge, yes. I'm not an attorney anymore. Yeah, but he can at least run an attorney's office. Okay, now we get some information, I see.
That incident 7 years ago. That legendary trial. In the middle of it all was one man. Phoenix Wright. The case reached its sad conclusion, and he left law for good. Have you ever thought about coming back to the courts?
I'm not qualified to stand in court of law, I'm afraid. A couple of games will change that. Didn't you notice in today's trial? There was a single piece of forged evidence. Oh, God. The moment we stopped controlling Phoenix, he fucked up. Oh, really?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about evidence that shouldn't have existed. Are you talking the ace? One piece of evidence struck me as odd, it's true. It just seemed, well, too perfect. I'll bet this was the forged evidence. The forged... it seems like the bloody ace would have been it because... Well, I mean, I don't know if it's particularly forged, but actually, for sure, it was a piece of evidence that was taken out of the area, so...
You mean this, don't you?
I got this from your daughter, Mr. Wright. Yes, that card couldn't have been found at the crime scene. Why? Because the killer took it with him when he left, leaving the wrong card in its place. Luckily for us.
The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud.
A fraud? How can you be so sure? I wouldn't think the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the from the crime scene. The real killer. My verdict was already handed down 7 years ago.
Then you really...
Yes, I forged this card. One look at the crime scene should have told you it wasn't real.
But you can't do something like this and call yourself an attorney!
Who's calling themselves an attorney, Apollo?
So it's true. The rumor is true. 7 years ago.
None of that matters much now, does it? I want to know more about what exactly you forged.
Oh, I punched him.
It's your story from here on out, Apollo. Perhaps I can help you turn the next page. My office's address. Drop in if you like. Mr. Wright. Oh, about your uppercut. Try yelling "take that" next time. I find it packs a little more punch. And Apollo, thanks for today. I had a good time. Only a freaking Phoenix Wright would have a good time in the court of law. Especially with this kind of, opponents. And with that, Mr. Wright walked out the door. And that's how my first trial ended. A lot of mysteries went unsolved. And at the time, I had no idea they were all related. Every mystery that day, connected by a single thread of logic. I'd find that out soon enough. My name is Apollo Justice, attorney at law, and this is how my story begins. The end of Chapter 1. Well, this was interesting. Certainly a lot of freaking things have changed up to this point. Turnabout Corner is the next one. But I've been streaming for about 3 hours, and I think at the end of a chapter is actually a pretty good time to just hold it off for the next time. Oh, but it's so refreshing. It's fun to be playing a Phoenix Wright game that I don't know what the twist is going to be. You know, it's just like, for example, again, the whole daughter thing. I knew for a fact that, Hat Girl, I knew that she was in the game, but I didn't know what context what was behind it, so that was nice and refreshing. And again, I know nothing about any of the future cases. I just hope that they are merciful. Also, I think it's going to be weird if that, the whole signals and signs of lyings thing, the whole, like, whenever someone's stressed, you can see it in their body language thing. If that's a regular thing, or a regular mechanic in this game, that's going to be weird. Hey, I welcome it. I welcome something different. Anywho's, yes. So next time I'm gonna dive into Turnabout Corner. All right. I think that'll do it. So thanks for stopping in the stream just to say hello or just to chat. I appreciate it. If you want to take a look at this episode anytime after it's done, and again, if you've missed any particular things that I got surprised about, I'm going to be uploading it to the BitB, the BitB YouTube channel. I keep trying to say VidMe, but I don't really post there anymore. So I'm going to be posting it up to the YouTube shortly after the stream's finished and after it's done processing. And luckily, we didn't find a guilty verdict, so I think I'm just going to upload it as raw as I can. I stream on Saturdays, Sundays, and Wednesdays, all of them starting at around 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. So for games, I think tomorrow we're going to play what could be the finale of A Hat in Time. I'm not sure. We're diving into the 5th chapter. I'm sure that's probably getting very close to the end. And then, on top of that, I've been thinking about making Stardew Valley a more regular game, since I jumped back into it and I was actually having a pretty good time with it. Just something nice and something relaxing, something I don't have to shout, something that I can just plant crops and just enjoy the moment. Also, there's a couple of things that I know I haven't seen in the game. Not a ton, but what other games do I have got on the docket? Well, there's this, obviously. And again, I think Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, I'll go back to that after either
I don't know. I'll come back to the last chapters. I feel kind of sad that I've left off the rest of the DL6 case, and that I haven't covered the SL9, which is also a pretty good one. Trying to think of any other games. Well, okay, random roguelikes. There's another thing. Playing random bits of Dead Cells, Binding of Isaac when I feel like. That kind of thing. Okay, enough of me just spewing words. I am going to take off. Again, thanks for coming out. See you next time.